Am I the asshole here for laughing at my sister-in-law's face when she DNA tested my daughter by a throwaway account? I, 30 male, have a daughter who is 6. I am not biologically related to her at all. There is no blood relation between us. I was friends with her mother for most all of my childhood. We were never involved romantically, and we were always just friends. She had her daughter at 23 with her 25-year-old husband. When my daughter was a newborn, about 3 months technically, both her mother and father were killed. I won't go into too much detail for privacy reasons, but it was a workplace shooting. My friend and her husband had worked in the same building and were both killed. That is so grim, oh my god, I'm so sorry. Both my friend and her husband had grown up with less than ideal families and didn't have any siblings, so there wasn't any next of kin for their daughter to go to. However, because I was close with them, I was able to adopt her. Even though I'd been iffy about the idea of kids, I didn't want their daughter to grow up in foster care or around people who didn't have a connection to her bio parents, so I stepped in. My parents and siblings know that my daughter is not my actual daughter, biologically speaking. My daughter, I'll call her Lily for the post, also knows that she's adopted. I never really hid the fact that she was adopted. She knows that her parents are dead and were killed by a bad man, but I'm saving the details for when she's older. Lily does not look like me at all. She looks exactly like her mother and biological dad. Most people assume that I'm her bio dad and that she just took after her mum. I don't ever really correct this when and if people assume this because it just seems unnecessary. My brother has been with his fiancée for about 2 years now. A few weeks ago, we were all meeting up at my parents' house, and my sister-in-law saw an old picture of me, my friend, and her husband. She pointed to my friend and asked who she was, and I explained that that was Lily's mother. Sister-in-law got quiet and stood in front of the picture for a while. I didn't think much of it. To clarify, she knows that my friend died, but I guess didn't know that she had been married, or that Lily is not my bio daughter. I suppose she assumed my daughter was mine and my friend's biological daughter. My sister-in-law got a DNA test done on my daughter behind my back. She used my brother's DNA for the test, and when it came back that they weren't related, she knew that that meant that me and Lily weren't related either. She came up to me with the results and waved them in my face, saying that I was taking care of a dead woman's affair baby. She said this to me in front of my daughter. I just stared at her for a while before bursting out laughing at this. I told her that I knew Lily wasn't my biological daughter and that this thing called adoption exists. Her face went red and she stormed off. My brother is mad that I embarrassed his fiancée, but I said that she embarrassed herself by DNA testing a kid that isn't hers and then parading the results up to me. What did she want me to do? What was her goal with this? Did she want me to break down and abandon my daughter? My brother said that she thought that she was doing the right thing and called me an asshole. I don't feel like the asshole, especially considering my sister-in-law was the one who stuck her nose where it doesn't belong. I'm asking Reddit for opinions, mostly just for validation, so was I the asshole? In the comments, Serenady says, not the asshole. She wanted to stir some shit up, and that's a hell of a lot of effort to help. Also, I'd be pissed about how she got Lily's DNA to do this. It didn't go the way she thought it would, so she got mad. Your brother is just trying to side with his soon-to-be wife. Also, be pissed that she revealed the truth in front of Lily. She deliberately tried to hurt a child. That's what gets me the most. What if Lily hadn't known that she was adopted? Hell, what if Lily had been conceived with a sperm donor? There are so many reasons that this was none of that woman's business, and she stuck her nose into it in the worst way possible by waving the results around in front of people. She could have talked to her fiancé first, but must not have because OP says that his siblings know that she's adopted. Instead of his brother being mad at OP, he should be pissed as hell at his fiancé. This would also ruin all credibility that woman has with me for anything. Anytime she brings something up, I would from now forward think that she's being an aforementioned drama cauldron or just making up stories that she's decided must be shared as the gospel truth. She didn't even need to jump straight to a DNA test. Her concerns could have been addressed simply by her quietly talking to the brother first when she saw the picture. So, OP and his daughter don't look very much alike. Oh, that's because she's adopted. We didn't mention that yet? Those are her parents in the photo that you were just looking at. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. OP only said that she was her mother. He didn't say that the guy was her father. Does she know she was adopted? Yeah, she knows. Everyone knows. Sorry, I guess I forgot to mention it before. See? No need for any drama, no sneaking around, no secret DNA tests without the child's or her father's consent, no dramatic, insulting reveal in front of the kid. Just communicating like a grown-up. I need to add to this that she did it in front of your daughter to maximize the damage that she thought she was exposing. That is straight evil. OP is the least not the asshole ever. Fiancé must be very young and still in high school mentality, but with adult resources. Who brings information like this up to everyone? She wanted a scene and she got one. High school mentality but with adult resources? That's a great phrase. I'm glad I learned this one today. My brother is mad that I embarrassed his fiancé. What? Brother should be appalled that fiancé said this in front of the child. Brother should be appalled his own fiancé didn't even have the decency to talk to him about it first and let him bring it up with his brother. Me thinks someone watches a bit too many telenovelas and was expecting some sort of big collective gasp and the whole family to be appalled and throw this poor motherless child into the streets where she deserves to be, as she is the daughter of a chihuahua, while the rest of the family throws sister-in-law a parade for saving him and the rest of the family from this devil child. Throwing the kid into the street, etc., and so forth is obviously sarcasm on my part. She's definitely got something wrong with her membrane because there were so many steps. There were so many decisions she chose in order that all could have been avoided or not done in the first place. Yet she was such an evil, disgusting piece of shit that she did this in front of the child. Does she not realize how damaging that is? Does she not have a brain? For the brother to see this situation and even consider defending his partner for that is disgusting. I would have him back at my house screaming his ears off. Because how dare he defend that? That is an indefensible action that she has taken. Are you out of your mind? Straight up evil. I would be calling on him to break up with her for that. That's not a stupid mistake. That is targeted evil. And now, on to the update. My sister-in-law ended up coming to my house and apologizing, as well as telling me the full story. My brother put her up to the DNA test. Oh, that makes it even worse. Oh my god. When I first adopted Lily, my brother for some reason believed that Lily was my bio daughter. He thought that me and Lily's mum were together and just weren't telling anyone. He believes that when she got pregnant, Lily's mum told me that Lily was mine and that she was going to just say that it was her husband's, and I went along with it because I didn't really want kids. Sister-in-law was under the impression that I believed I was Lily's bio dad. She saw the picture of Lily's mum and I, and after asking for clarification on who she was, assumed that we were together in it, and then got suspicious when she saw that the other guy in the picture, Lily's actual bio dad, looked a lot like Lily. I also want to clarify that I didn't tell her that Lily's bio dad was in the picture because she had specifically pointed to Lily's mum, and I assumed that she knew that Lily was adopted. I didn't know that my brother had been telling her lies for nearly 2 years. She got the DNA test out of her own suspicions, and my brother helped her with it because he thought that it would reveal that I was actually Lily's bio dad. He manipulated her into thinking that it would clear the air of suspicion, when really, he was just trying to prove that I was really Lily's bio dad and lying about the reasons for adoption. Well, of course, the results proved that I wasn't Lily's bio dad and that my brother was wrong. My brother felt too embarrassed to confess to his fiancée that he had lied about the circumstances, which is why sister-in-law confronted me with the results. My sister-in-law also apologized for showing me the results in front of my daughter. She told me that her mum had an affair and cheated on her father, got pregnant with another man's kid, and had let her father believe that the kid was his. Her father was devastated by this when he found out, and she grew very resentful of women who do that to their spouses. She had wanted to sit me down and talk to me about it without my daughter, but when he saw me with my daughter, she got angry, thinking I was being led on to believe that I was raising my daughter when I was actually raising another man's kid. And she ended up exploding and immediately waved the results in my face. My sister-in-law does feel very guilty, and she's angry at my brother for lying to her. I'm not angry at her for doing the test because she thought that she was doing the right thing, and I also forgave her for the way that she told me about the results, because clearly affairs are a sensitive subject for her, and I can understand why she would have exploded like that. I'm pretty sure that she plans to break up with my brother now, and I don't blame her. When I called and asked my brother about this, he admitted it. When I asked why he would think this, he said that he couldn't think of a reason why a man who had been that against having kids at the time would willingly adopt a baby without having a blood connection to it. He told sister-in-law that I was Lily's bio dad and was aware of the fact. He took it a step further and said that me and Lily's mum were together at the time of Lily's conception. Both my parents and I are going low contact with my brother for a while now. I know that I will forgive my brother eventually, but I can't do that right now. He believed that I was low enough to have an affair with a married woman, get her pregnant, take no responsibility, allow her to pass off the kid as another man's, and then only take responsibility because her mum died. In the comments, Seb Screen says, "Both your brother and sister-in-law are getting off too lightly. He butted into your family and lied to his wife, and, sensitive issue or not, she still violated your daughter's privacy and then called her an affair child derisively in front of her. Yeah, for real, his daughter is hurt by this, not OP. OP has every right to slap his brother at Christmas. Slap and press charges because they did not have authorization from the minor's parents to harvest the minor's DNA. OP, your asshole brother called your child it. How in the hell is this forgivable? Why just low contact? From what I've seen in other families, my ex-wife's in particular, some people just brush shit off as, well, that's just old Greg, No one ever says that that's effed up and lights their asses up when it's justified to do so. It's always minor occurrences that someone gets mad at. The fact that your brother thought that low of you shows so much about himself. He probably wouldn't take care of a kid that wasn't his biological child. I wouldn't let him around Lily anymore. Even if you stop being low contact, he might start treating her bad now that he knows that she's not blood related to him. He deserves it if your sister-in-law leaves him. Further notes, even though he deserves it if sister-in-law leaves him, I still think she deserves to be punished for doing what she did, trauma or not. She could have really traumatized a kid that was completely innocent. OP's brother is a straight-up dick. Why is brother having such a hard time believing a man can raise another man's baby and love them like they are one of their own children? Especially when OP was so close to the child's bio parents. I hope OP's brother feels good about himself, and I hope that OP's daughter has no lasting effects from brother's brain-dead idea. He and his fiancée are both trash. What a failure of an adult, potentially harming a child because the fiancée couldn't keep her shit together. I completely agree. That was no justification for her actions at all. There is no sympathy for what she did. Your trauma and all that shit, all that baggage that you've dealt with in the past is not an excuse to continue this cycle. It's not an excuse to traumatize an innocent child. Absolutely vile and disgusting of her to try and downplay her actions with all of that. And disgusting of the brother to start all of this and keep it going for 2 years. I don't know how you're going no contact with these people, OP. I genuinely don't know. How do you not have a fire lit under your ass to protect this child? I'm not victim blaming with that one. I want to know why you haven't cut them out of your lives and then filed charges against them for stealing DNA. Genuinely, what is up with that? These two deserve the worst. They need to be publicly flamed all over social media to everyone's faces for these disgusting actions. I really hope the next update you share with us is you tearing their lives apart for this. Thank you for sharing the story, OP. It got me really riled up, I won't lie. My girlfriend has spent the last 3 years telling me that men and women can't be friends. She now has a guy friend. How do I show her that she's being hypocritical? Posted by LeftMix9688. I, 28 male, have been with my girlfriend, 37 female, for 3 years. Our general dynamic is that she's very opinionated and has a very black and white perspective of thinking, especially when it comes to generalizations, i.e., men and women cannot be friends, whereas I'm more laid back, and I try to pride myself on being objective and seeing the gray area. My entire life, I've been able to connect better with women as opposed to men. Most of my closest friends have been women. I've been introduced to many romantic partners, or have even met some of my exes by associating with these friends. But I have never dated, pursued, or even thought about pursuing any of my actual friends. When I met my girlfriend, I was working in a restaurant and was very close with a few of the servers. We'd go out for food and drinks, hang out alone, and keep in contact outside of work. My girlfriend, being very insecure, absolutely hated this. We would constantly fight about the fact that I had female friends. There was one friend in particular that she absolutely could not stand. I'll call her Jess. I cannot even begin to tell you how many god-awful horrible fights there were over Jess. I was constantly accused by my girlfriend of being in love with Jess, only being with my girlfriend to bide my time until Jess was single. At one point, I was even accused of being the father to Jess's aborted son. Holy shit, your girlfriend sounds like a horrible person. Get rid of her, OP, you deserve better. That's genuinely insane to say. What is wrong with her? I'm not exaggerating when I say that I was constantly harassed and interrogated every single day by my girlfriend about Jess and I's secret relationship. Jess did turn out to be a bad friend, and we stopped talking 2 years ago, and then it was another friend that my girlfriend didn't like. I still have to listen to my girlfriend rant about Jess and I's secret relationship, by the way. This entire time, I am sent God only knows how many TikToks about how men and women cannot be friends. I am constantly told about men and women that she knows in real life cheating and being cheated on with their friends. I am constantly told that if she ever has a guy friend, I should be worried because she's only friends with guys that she feels some kind of way about. After a solid year of being constantly harassed by my girlfriend about every non-lesbian in my life, we came to a compromise. I will not add any women on Snapchat, I will never hang out alone with another girl. After negotiating from if a girl is there, I shouldn't go. Even though she initially agreed that it's okay for me to add friends and colleagues on Facebook and Instagram as long as I actually know them, she still stalks my friend list and interrogates me about any new woman that may be on there. At this point, I started working in a more male-dominant field, and while I still have to listen to her speculate and accuse me of being in love with whichever random woman I work a shift with, it's usually just a sly comment and only occasionally a full-blown argument. About a year ago, my girlfriend confesses to something sus. The day my grandmother dies, she tells me that she was talking to her ex-situationship. This guy was a real piece of shit, and when he had reached out to her previously, I gave her my blessing to talk to him and get closure. The only catch being that they don't meet up, and she saves all the messages between them because she deleted everyone's messages off her phone. He asked to meet up with her and suck him off. I had to argue with her to block him because she doesn't like to block people, and she finally relented. So I was obviously upset because why was he unblocked? Her excuse was she unblocked everybody and he messaged her. Oh no! Dear Lord, she is the Wicked Witch of the West. That's as far as I'll go for now. That's weird, but okay. Let me see the messages. She deleted them. Now I'm pissed and emotional from the fact that my grandmother just died, and we get into a fight, and I demand that she blocks him again. She says she did. The next day we go back to my place, and I've already moved past it, until I playfully reach out to grab her phone, and she rips it out of my hand. She gives me about 3 bullshit reasons as to why she did that, and then finally tells me it's because she didn't block him yet. At this point, I'm furious. I feel betrayed. I feel even more upset because the night before she made another cheating accusation because it was suspicious that I was watching her place a DoorDash order on my phone, and here she is actually doing something sketchy. I ultimately compromise again and get over it. So fast forward to about a few months ago, my girlfriend has settled down quite a bit in regards to the whole cheating thing. I mainly associate with men now. There are women that I work with, but we're not close. A seldom few are added into the abyss that I call my Facebook friends list or my Instagram followers, never to be interacted with. I am still accused of collecting women as backups. My girlfriend starts a new job at a hotel. She immediately connects with her manager, a guy I'll call Jeff. Jeff has a girlfriend, but apparently spends his entire shift pining after my girlfriend and shit-talking his girlfriend. He stays late on her shifts to help her, quote-unquote. Their friendship progresses from the point of her calling him off the clock to come into work and solve issues at their job, to him getting a job at the sister hotel and just going to my girlfriend's job to hang out with her. He calls her when he's bored, but not when he's around his girlfriend because she doesn't want him talking to my girlfriend. He has openly admitted to her that he has a crush on her. She doesn't see a problem with this at all. What worries me is, my girlfriend has a history of cheating. She cheated on her last partner, but claims that it wasn't a real relationship, so it doesn't count, despite the fact that they were both in an exclusive relationship. She also does not want me interacting with this guy at all. I made an effort to introduce her to Jess and any of my other friends. I told her that at any point in time, she could talk to Jess about our friendship. I am still not allowed to have any women as friends in my life. Out of anger, and in an attempt to get her to see the hypocrisy, I told her if she has a guy friend and she's going to break the rules that we have for friends, then I should be able to have friends that are women. She pretended to agree, but it then turned into, "Oh, so which girl do you have in mind? And who are you going to run to?" Which then resulted in a fight. I have no idea how to proceed. I'm considering breaking up with her, but I feel I might be overreacting. I'm worried about being cheated on because our relationship cannot come back from that, but I'm also incredibly upset by the double standard. How can I make her see my point of view that her behavior is hypocritical? In the comments, Alex DeGreat says, "I don't know why it's taken you this long to consider breaking up with this chick. Just effing break up with her, good lord. This should be the only advice you need and take into effect immediately." He should have broken up with her in half the time it took to write this post. Reading this, I was thinking, this has projection from a cheater vibes, not some principled stand about opposite-sex friendships while in a relationship written all over it. Then I got to the part where you said she has a history of cheating on her boyfriend and that she has no remorse, nor is she apologetic about it. Don't even mention the part where she's texting her ex behind your back and deleting texts. Dude, why are you still with her? It doesn't even sound like this is a good relationship you have. Maybe take her at her word and understand what befriending a new guy who is into her means for her, and see this as a sign that your relationship has run its natural course, and choose when and how to exit on your own terms. Serious cheater afraid of being cheated on vibes. Doing everything to keep you away from an opportunity to cheat if you were a cheater, whilst not sticking to boundaries that she's set for you. Stays in contact with her ex after he sexually propositioned her, deletes all of her messages, is spending an alarming amount of time around someone she knows is into her. She has zero respect for you and your relationship. She likely knows what she's doing is bad, but she doesn't care. Walk away. I agree. Get out of there, OP. Have some self-respect. This is not me hating on men. Absolutely not. I want what is best for you, my brother. She is a trashy, disgusting person who does not deserve you. You are much better than her in every single way. I don't know how you've lasted for 3 years in this relationship. I can think of one reason why you've stuck around, and if it's that good, then salute to you, my brother. But, the time is now. There is greener grass out there, and that green grass will treat you like a respectable human being, and not someone that deserves to be gaslit and disrespected at every possible turn. You don't need to show her that she's being hypocritical, you just need to leave. And now, on to the update. A few commenters asked me why I stayed with her for so long. The honest truth? It's because I love her. I still love her, and I can ultimately recognize that she was extremely hypocritical, emotionally abusive, and controlling. I never really believed that that was the real her, because when I met her, she had started the depot shot, and that made her bonkers. As the effects of the shot wore off, she started to mellow out. Even though it was still bad, the very, very slow progress gave me hope, and that's what I held on to. It's very easy to look at my original post and think only of bad things because those are the only things I shared. But we had so many great moments too. I did end up breaking up with her. With that being said, this is probably going to be a longer post, so if that's all the update you want, then you can stop reading here. After I made the initial post, I read every single comment as they came in. Eventually, I ended up reading her my original post in full and all of your replies. This was, of course, an issue for her. First, it was, why would you do that? Why would you post our personal business online? And then it turned into, who cares what they think? They're just random people on the internet. We argued every day for about a week. I'll be honest, none of the advice really mattered. I didn't follow it. I love her after all, and I believed that we could work it out. We talked a lot too. I genuinely believed that she had no feelings for Jeff whatsoever. I also believed her when she told me that she told him that they would never be more than friends. Oh no! Whether I was being gullible or not, the main issue now was with the double standard of her having a close guy friend when women aren't even allowed to look at me without it being a topic of argument later. So I did what I had done the whole entire relationship. I compromised my feelings and moved on with the understanding that I would no longer be tolerating any accusations about me being unfaithful or my feelings of love and attraction towards other women. At that point, we were talking about the argument instead of actually arguing, and we got on the topic of Jess again, my secret relationship and my love for her. I told her that I wasn't going to put up with it anymore. The subject then got changed to a girl that I currently work with, Tiff. Tiff has been a subject of many fights between my girlfriend and I. I'm obviously in love with her because I tell my girlfriend that I can't stand her. I reassure her again and tell her that that is the dumbest thing that I've ever heard in my entire life. I am then told that I'm being dismissive of her feelings. I tell her, I told you that I'm not going to tolerate this anymore. If you can't drop it, then I don't want to talk to you anymore tonight. And I hung up on her. The next day I'm at work, and I texted her asking if she was still in a mood, and she says no. Then she starts texting me huge paragraphs saying, it's okay if you do like Tiff. If you can just be honest with me, we can work past it together. At this point, I'm starting to get frustrated, and I get upset. I was literally begging her to drop it, and I finally said, this is the last time I'm going to tell you. I do not have feelings for Tiff. Please stop. I don't want to talk to you if this is all we're going to talk about. She then has the audacity to say, I think you do. I just don't think you know you do. You're too young to know how you feel, and you probably just don't realize how you really feel. This was my breaking point. As I sat there staring at my phone, a singular comment from my last post just popped into my head. Imagine how much your mental health will improve once you dump her. And I finally just texted her that this isn't working out and that I'm breaking up with her. Like I'd anticipated, she did not take it well. I've tried to break up with my girlfriend in the past when we first started dating. She showed up to my home and threatened to off herself if I left her. Most mentally healthy girlfriend. Least insane girlfriend. Most wifeable person available in your local area, OP. Call me stupid, but that worked on me. She knows that I have attempted before. She knows that I lost my best friend ever to suicide, and I told her that if she ever threatened me with that again, I'd have her committed. She calls me on my way home from work, asking why I haven't texted or called her. She was so upset that she fell and hurt herself. I just kept telling her, I can call an ambulance for you if you'd like, and eventually I say that she's only embarrassing herself by making these threats, and if she doesn't stop, I'll call the police and then have them commit her. Then she starts telling me that I don't care about her, I don't love her, the whole 9 yards. I just keep saying, I love you so much, and this breaks my heart, but my mental health is suffering because of the way that you treat me. Finally, she just tells me that I can't break up with her. I don't have a good reason to. And I say, I am a grown adult in the United States of America. I can break up with you because the sky is blue if I so desire. You're probably wondering why I haven't just blocked her at this point, and it's because I was genuinely terrified that she would show up to my job and make a scene, or show up at my house, which leads me to the next part of the story. She keeps asking me how long I'm going to be mad at her, and being in denial about the fact that we've broken up. The next morning, I woke up really early to take my roommate to work. I changed my relationship status on Facebook to single and changed my profile picture. On my way home, she calls me again and says, "Where are you? Why aren't you home?" I freaked out, screaming at her on the phone, saying, "You better not be inside my house. Leave my house, you lunatic." Stuff like that. I even threatened to call the police on her and get a restraining order. She calls my bluff. I pulled into a parking lot where I can see her car in front of my house. She was never in my house, just in the parking lot. I texted her to tell her to leave and keep telling her that I'll call the cops. She stops answering. I didn't want to call the police, mainly because I've often seen them weaponized by the women in my life, which is another reason that I didn't want to confront her. So I called her dad instead. I told him the situation, and it turns out that he followed her to my house, as they live together, to get her to leave. I later find out that Jeff did call her the day that we broke up. He was happy that her relationship with me was over. She cursed him out and blocked his number. I just keep telling her that the fact that it even came to this just proves that she doesn't respect me. The next few weeks have been her calling and texting me to work things out. Multiple paragraph apologies, promises of change. Her family started out as understanding and supportive of me, but as of late have just been randomly calling me behind her back to ask, how long is this going to go on? Because she is incredibly depressed. Despite the fact that I've made it clear that as of right now, I have no intention of taking her back. After one phone call from her stepdad, where he started to raise his voice, I just hung up and blocked her whole family. I just keep telling her the same thing. I have no intention of getting back together with you. Maybe in the future, after you work on yourself, we can talk about it. I haven't blocked her because I do care about her. I want her in my life, just not in a romantic sense. I tell her that if she can't handle just being my friend, that I will have to stop talking to her altogether, and that just because I am her friend, I don't want her to think that that means that we are getting back together. The last time that I spoke to her a few days ago, it seems that she's finally understanding the gravity of the situation. She is taking accountability and has already met with a therapist. We've been broken up for about a month and a half. I do feel a lot better mentally. I feel kind of free. I don't have to justify anything to anybody. I also feel alone and a bit depressed at times. I feel stupid for letting someone emotionally bully me into getting rid of all my close friends. It's a mixed bag, but I'm taking the time to work on myself. In the comments, Tiger's Blood says, "Why would you want to be friends with a controlling, manipulative ex-girlfriend? You know the second any other girl comes into your life, it's going to be drama from her. Don't do it, just move on and leave her in the past." I think he still hasn't processed just how awful she was to him. She's clearly played enough games with him that he feels he needs to be in her life in some way. OP, please read this comment and block her. Whatever she does next will never be your fault, even if she ends up hurting herself. She is a fully grown adult and has a support system outside of you. You need to cut her off completely and let her work on herself independently. She'll never make the progress she needs to ever associate with you again while you are still in her life. Good luck, man. Hopefully you can talk to a therapist and work on why you stayed for so long, why you never called an ambulance, etc. Moreover, any woman worth a damn isn't going to date a man who won't cut off his manipulative ex. You need to actually close the door on her, or you haven't moved on. Nobody wants to hear, "It's complicated," from a nearly 30-year-old man. You're pulling the same shit that you did in your last post. You aren't committing to what you know you need to do, and it's going to continue to weigh on you until you do. I'm not saying this to denigrate you, because you made a big change and should be proud of that. I want you to be conscious that you are still operating in half measures. Block and move on. It baffles me that people try to end terrible relationships, but stay friends with the person who has been hurting them. You can't be friends with someone who is comfortable causing you pain. He did the classic error of maybe in the future. For an abuser, that is the little crack in the armor. She will be back with him in a few months. First month will be everything he dreamed of, then it will transition to how much the breakup hurt her and how much damage he did to her, but it's okay, she forgives him. That will quickly transition into being used to manipulate and punish him further. Classic Darvo. Thank you for breaking up with that freak, OP. You deserve so much better in your life. And yeah, if we switch the roles in this situation and she's a guy and you're a girl, I'd be calling the police when he shows up on your property, man. Also, her family is so pathetic calling you about this. She's 37 years old. Imagine acting like this at that age. Jesus Christ. A man or woman acting like this and then getting their family to call you to try to get you back together. Ew. Major ew vibes. You're genuinely so much better without her in your life. Please God, the next update better be I blocked her and moved on, and she got arrested and sent to jail. That's what I want to see. Thank you for sharing the story, OP. Our next post is by user UnhappySmoke2038, titled, I stupidly let my mum borrow my car in Houston, and now she's refusing to give it back, and I'm stuck, unable to work. So my mum's car was rear-ended, so while she was waiting for insurance to decide if they were going to cover the repair or not, I decided that I'd let her use my car. We spoke on the phone and agreed that I would lend her my 2013 Toyota Corolla LE from the dates of July 23rd to August 2nd, which would be a Friday. The reason I agreed was because she told me that on Friday, she could start working from home and wouldn't need a car as desperately. But I specifically told her that I needed my car back on this specific date because I am in the middle of starting a small auto shop, which is a good 40 miles away from where I live. Stupid of me, I know, but I wanted to be a good son and help out my ma. Plus, at the time, I didn't need a car. The paperwork wouldn't be done until the 5th or 6th of August anyway. The problem is that it's now August 13th, and she's still not returned my car to me. I've called, texted, left voicemails, and the whole 9 yards. I even ordered a Lyft ride to her house in an attempt to get my car, only to find that she's locked it up in her garage and refused to answer the door when I knocked. I called the police, who showed up, knocked on the door, and told me that because I allowed her to use my car that this was a civil matter and I'd have to do a 10-day letter of demand before I could report it stolen. The problem is that I'm a 24-year-old who just sunk $7,900 into my garage startup, and I can't afford to sit waiting for 10 days, not making money. I have 2 trusted mechanics who left their jobs to come work with me who haven't been paid or given work yet because I can't get to my shop and get the server and shop manager system up and running. I literally only have $200 left, so I can't afford to keep taking Lyft rides, ripping and running around town searching for her. I feel like the biggest effing idiot for letting myself get put into this situation, and I just don't know what to do. I have my letter of demand drafted, but I'm worried that in the 10 days window she'll damage my car or run it into the ground. I still owe $14,000 on it, and the oil change service interval was coming up at 58,450 miles, which I know she's not going to pay to have done. All that bullshit talk about blood being thicker than water is exactly that, a load of bullshit. In the comments, Mick Gubb says, "Have you sent the letter of demand?" And OP says, "I'm afraid that if I do send it, she will destroy my car. If I don't have a car, I can't get to my shop, and I don't have the money to buy another one, and that Corolla only has 57,000 miles on it last time I looked." You have to do something. You can't just sit and let everything fall apart because of this situation. Get a credit card or borrow money and rent a car so that you can go to work. Send the 10-day demand letter. Having a pristine car that isn't in your possession that you can't use isn't helpful. This is what you need to do both legally and personally. Legally, you are required to mitigate your damages, meaning that you can't let a small situation become a big situation because you give up on everything. You got a couple of options. Option 1, you can write a letter of demand to your mother stating to return the car. In that letter, you need to let her know that she needs to return it in the same condition as she picked it up and/or dropped it off. Also putting in there that if you don't return the car by this specific date, for example August 20th, that you will file a police report to report the car stolen. You can also put in there that if she destroys the car, you can also report that to the police. With the letter of demand, if you do have to go as far as going to the police, the letter of demand is going to be worth more for them to go after. Make sure you send this letter by certified mail on top of sending it to her directly by electronic so that you have a paper trail going. Option 2, which is the quickest, If you don't want to go this far, go to Houston and get a tow truck to pick up the car from her place, or pick it up on your own if you have an extra key. I'd suggest that you would do this if she's at work, as she locked up the car before in the garage. This takes planning, but you have a right to pick up your car. This would probably be the quickest route. If you don't have the extra key, then you might be in a pickle, but you can get a new key made at the dealer. It'll be expensive, but you'd be better off forking over $500 to $600 than having her trash the car and pay $2,000 to $5,000 or more and save a file insurance claim. OP asks, should I set the demand return date to 10 days, or can I demand its return before 10 days? The way the cop was wording it made it sound like if I draft my demand letter asking her to return the car earlier than 10 days, my demand letter is not enforceable. Could I instead change it to 2 or 3 days? Edit. I called the Harris County non-emergency line. They said the interval has to be 10 days. Shake my head. OP, I'm going to need you to send that demand letter, and I'm going to send my regards to the death of your relationship with your mother. I'm sorry that it had to come to this, but you're going to be better off without her in your life, because that is disgusting that she just stole that from you and then ghosted you. That's not a mother, that's a leech. And now, onto the updates. I followed your guys' advice to a T, sent the demand letter, and waited. The 10 days ended yesterday, but she still wouldn't return my car. So I went downtown to the HCPD HQ to report the vehicle as stolen. I was able to get her on the phone with the sergeant, who told her that once I decide to press charges, it becomes felony possession of a stolen vehicle / unauthorized use of a vehicle, and if she's caught driving it or caught with it at her house, she will be arrested and charged. And I would not have a say in the matter. Once I sign that line, whatever happens next happens. Long story short, that lit a fire under her ass, and she left the car with my spare key in the glove box across the streets. Of course, I requested an officer to meet me at the location just in case she tried to get belligerent or in fact had damaged my vehicle, which she didn't. She's officially had my car since the 23rd of last month, but it's back in my possession now. She's put well over 2,000 miles on it, and the maintenance light is on. But for now, I'm glad to be done with this, and I want to thank all of you who either gave me good advice or gave me the metaphorical slap that I needed. As for my shop and getting there, one of my mechanics lent me his old beater so that I could get to and from. So the shop is up and running, and we're already up to our neck in jobs. I've got 7 satisfied customers and 5 others waiting on parts. Glad to say that everything worked out once I took a step back and analyzed everything. In the comments, how did you ruin your relationship with your son? Well, with an 11-year-old Toyota Corolla LE. That he somehow owes $14,000 on? How the hell can you owe that much for an 11-year-old Corolla? Surely he bought it used. I don't know if this is still the case, but for a while, used cars were really expensive. And if he got himself down to the wire so bad, $200, no car access, garage 40 miles away that needed him to start on X date or he would lose it, my guess is his credit rate is terrible and his interest rate's basically usurious. Much to my chagrin, the word usurious exists. I would never talk to my mum again. I would have signed that letter. Enjoy the felony. Good to see that the Harris County PD is still an incompetent bag of dicks. There's nothing in Texas Penal Code Title 7, Chapter 3103, Crimes Against Property and Theft, that requires a demand letter on previously loaned property, only that there is consent to the loan of such property. The moment OP said she was supposed to give it back and hasn't, it becomes a crime. Damn, sorry to everyone living in Harris County in Texas that's had a Toyota Corolla stolen from them by their parents and then didn't get the immediate justice that they were looking for. My heart goes out to you specifically and no one else. But this is a very good way to end today's episode. This has been a very good story. I liked it, OP. I wish you all the best in the future with your mechanic shop. If you guys know which mechanic shop that OP works at, please go and give them some business. I wish also nothing but the worst for your mother for stealing from you and putting 2,000 miles onto your car, then making the maintenance light come on. What a dickbag of a person, huh? What a feral individual. Fiancé thinks I'm an asshole for not converting. Posted by a throwaway account. I, female 35, and my fiancé, male 41, Todd, met over a decade ago, and we have a mutual friend group. We started dating last year and got engaged last month. Generally speaking, he treats me like a queen. He spoils me a lot, and I appreciate it always. He is usually respectful and kind, communicative, and patient with me. This started to change, and I wanted to say that it started to change once the ring was accepted. I need to be clear. I don't much care to get married. I'm perfectly fine with not. My parents aren't married, but they've been in love and together for over 40 years. My siblings are all but one unmarried, but in seemingly happy relationships, each at least for 5 years. But Todd is Christian and is of the mind that two people eventually need to get married to be happy. We talked about it at length both before we were a couple and after we started dating. I was clear that I don't want or need a ring, but if it's important to a partner that I come to love, then whatever. I will do a small wedding. He was overjoyed when he proposed, and I said yes in front of pretty much everyone in our little world, but later said that I didn't seem excited enough, and that it felt like I didn't want to marry him. I said I love him, and if he wants a marriage, then sure. But to say that I want to marry? I mean, I know that he wants to, and if that's what he wants, and since it doesn't matter to me either way, the math was easy. Let's get married. I said it sort of jokingly to lighten the mood, but he didn't like that at all, and nearly every other day he would find a way to ask me if I really wanted to marry him, or he would say that he feels like I don't. I suggested couples therapy, as it seems to really be on his mind and troubling him, and he said he's done therapy before and doesn't need to do it again. Then last week, on our usual date night, he said he had something really big to ask me. Call it a favor if that makes it better, and asked me to come to his church and get baptized. I stared at him. I am an atheist and have been since I was in my mid-20s. He has known that for years, and we've always been respectful of each other's beliefs. I told him that I couldn't do that. Baptism is supposed to be sacred, and with a true heart for that faith, and I simply would be a liar if I said that I wanted to live for his God, because I frankly don't. He argued that it's just a splash of water and some words, and since he wants it before our wedding, and I don't care about religion either way, this should be easy. I refused again, explaining that I do care about religion. My majors were world religions and anthropology. I care a lot, and it would be dishonest to his God and our community for me to dedicate my life to his religion outwardly, but not inwardly. I said that it felt disrespectful to his faith and the people who truly live it. He got angry with me and said, "Oh, so you're okay disrespecting me though?" And when I asked what he meant, he said to drop it and change the subject. I pressed more, but he raised his voice. I said drop it! Loud enough for others to turn and look at us. He's been very robotic around me ever since. He spends all night in his study, sleeps on his study couch, goes to every service and event/gathering that his church has, which is most weekday nights and Saturday morning as well as Sunday, and has been inviting me to every single one. He hadn't done that since we started dating, but when he did it back then, I said that I respect his beliefs and will go to something like a wedding or christening or baptism, but not a simple service or event. When he asked me just a few minutes ago tonight, I reminded him of the above, and he just dropped into our couch and sobbed. And when I went over to comfort and talk to him, he pushed me away and left muttering something about running late for service. His sister Esther texted me to ask what happened, and I gave a brief summary, and she texted back that I'm being a jerk and one service isn't going to make me burst into flames, and it's important to Todd. So am I being a bonehead? Am I crazy to think that this pressure is a deal breaker? I do love him, but this version of him is not only a stranger to me, but a weight on me. But aren't people supposed to work through that hard shit to get on in a relationship? In the comments, 295 Phoenix says, "Not the arsehole. Time to break up. But damn, I love how so many Christians take their religion less seriously than we do. An insincere baptism is indeed disrespectful, yet so many Christians want non-believers to do it." OP replies, "This is what confuses me the most. If it's such an important part of his life, How is he okay with my lying and insincerity devoting, quote-unquote, my life to Christ? I'm not against people who have faith, but those that I know who do, truly do beyond platitudes in the mainstream, are kind and loving and would be offended so much if someone faked it and lied about it and had gone through sacred rites and the like. It doesn't make any sense why he keeps switching sides on it. No, it's a ploy. Oh, just get baptized, it's not serious. Just some water and some words. Oh, please come to the service. The pastor really wants to meet you. I told the youth leader that you would help. I'm sure you don't mind, right? It's for the kids. It's not really religious, just a prayer at the beginning and end. But sweetheart, we have to raise our kids in the church. What will everyone think? They've got a script. No, like seriously, on how to trickle truth convert someone. He is getting immense pressure from the church to bring you into the fold, to save you, to prevent you from being unequally yoked, to hunt and win a soul for Jesus. OP replies, "This is terrifying. I was clear when I left the church eons ago that I am not and will not follow that faith. He never hinted once that I can think of to do what you're saying, but it really makes me think that this might be exactly what he's doing. I can't get pregnant, so kids are out of the equation, but I couldn't bear it if he tried to push me more into his church life. I'm involved a bit to make him happy. I do help at certain events and such. I have skills that they sometimes need, and not at all opposed to a food or clothing or back to school drive and the like. I figured that it's less about it being a church event and more a community event where we helped people." Yup. For whatever reason, Todd has started to care much more about what the folks at his church think of him than what you think of him. Todd is 41. His chances to snag a nice, godly, obedient wife are running out, so he found a nice woman and thought that he would groom her, eh? Unfortunately for him, OP has a spine. That's so funny, but it makes sense that these Christian people have a script about it. Because I've experienced the scripts and I was like, yeah, you're just trying to convert me. No, thank you. But there's so many different steps to it and they kind of skipped right to the end for me. They're like, hey man, why don't you just come to our, Sunday service? It's going to be really chill. We'd really like to have you there. And I was like, no, thank you. I'm not religious. I'm not interested in that. And like, oh, come on. It's not religious at all. It's like a cultural thing. There's no religion involved. Like, what? What are you talking about? I'm going to religious worship on a Sunday. What's not religious about that? Are you crazy? But anyway, on to OP in this situation. I don't know how long this relationship is going to last with you two. This seems like it is a deal breaker. If he thinks that you're an asshole for not converting, when you've made it very clear why you don't convert, and he's been accepting of that until he wasn't, I don't know what to tell you. He's a bit of a dickhead for knowing who you are and how you operate and then thinking that he can convert you. I don't think you're an ass at all. I think he's a complete asshole for this. Back up to the post, there is an edit to updates. He texted me a few minutes ago saying when he gets home, he wants to have a serious talk. I explained that my best friend is over, so it'll have to wait, and he replied, no. Tell her to leave, give her my love, but this is serious. I talked with my bestie, Bessie, female 35, and read some of the comments here and told him, no, indeed. He can go home to his parents, and he is welcome to come in and pack a bag and leave, because Bess is here for me right now, and I need her here for me right now. He has not responded. Now tell me how you really feel, Todd. Edit to respond to things that have come up a lot, either in messages or comments. He has never raised a hand to me. He would never, and if it's not for the reason that I used to think, that he's not a dick, it would at least be because I am a military brat. Both parents, so not only am I trained to defend myself well, but my parents, would not take kindly. A lot of people brought up kids. I can't get pregnant, I did want kids, and then this happens. So now I'm okay with the idea of not having any. He said he was okay with that too, and we talked about just being dog rescue people. My family likes him. My father, a pastor, loves the guy. But no, I haven't talked to him about this yet. He is non-denominational and goes to a megachurch in our state. Literally thousands of people. No, it is not a requirement for marriage at his church for me to convert. We getting some Kenneth Copeland vibes. Don't you dare say I said that. I ain't going on them damn public airlines. They're filled with demons, I tell ya. Hallelujah. Jesus said that I need to fly private, okay? I need another private jet. And now, on to the updates. So last week I posted about a problem between myself and my fiancé Todd, because despite having been respectful of each other's beliefs until now, he is a Christian and I am an atheist. He now wants me to get baptized. It came to a head and he stormed out, so I called my BFF to keep me company since I was pretty sad and emotional. I do a lot for him and Bess, the bestie, and a lot of you here helped me see that the relationship as is either needs to have serious changes to it or it needs to end. Logical, but logical is hard to cling to when you're heartbroken. I think I already knew that he wouldn't change anything for me. I did text him that night that he needs to go back to his parents' house, the house we live in is mine, and that I needed space. Guess he and his sister gave his parents an alternate version of events because they came by that night anyway. All of him. His mum, dad, sister Esther, and him. He had a key, so he just walked in as Bess and I are drinking on the couch watching Netflix. I asked what he was doing here, and his family came into the room behind him. I asked what was going on. The way he looked at me is unexplainable. But his mum pushed by him and just yanked me into a very aggressive hug. She said that they were here to talk as a family and have a family meeting. I'm having a family freakout on the inside right now. And then told Bess that she needed to leave. Bess refused. His mum turns to me to ask me to have Bess leave. I refused. It's late, and I'm not in any state to talk about anything else. Please leave. It devolves into passive-aggressive disapproval that I won't take guidance from the man that I plan to marry. His parents, his father is a pastor, sat down to give me what felt like a whole pre-planned spiel about how I'm an adult and need to act like one, and kicking a man out of his home for doing the right thing is a tantrum. His dad once even said that he is so disappointed in me and will be telling my father, who is also a pastor, about this. You 35-year-old children, I'm gonna tell your dad about this. Gotta be honest, I was dumbfounded for 85% of this, and then finally, I guess it was the booze, started to laugh and told them to get out. His dad refused and called me volatile and suggested that I get counseling. I told them that this is my house, and I will call the police, and to get the F out. It was the first time that I cussed in front of them. Pearls were clutched, I was called trashy, and Bess held her phone like, okay, I am calling the cops. She asked you to leave. I heard his dad say, you are not marrying that, as they left, and they muttered other hurtful things, making a whole thing out of them being sad and disappointed by me. They left. Todd packed a bag and left with them. He continued to text me invites to services. It'll help you, he says, stating that he's concerned about me and the path that I am choosing, that his parents aren't sure that he should marry me, but he loves me and wants what is best for me. I told him that I need space and to leave me alone, but he just kept texting. I said that the wedding is off, and Sunday when I got home from running errands, he was on the porch crying. He had a handwritten letter that he wanted me to read, but I said absolutely not, and I told him to go away. He kept asking me to think about what I'm doing and how my choices affect more than just myself and more. I pointed to my doorbell cam and said that I have footage of me repeatedly asking him to leave, and Bess was recording the night his parents and sister and he ganged up on me. Go away. He threw his hand up like he was going to strike me, and I just screamed. I didn't even mean to. It was so sudden and it scared me. He went to start apologizing, but a neighbor came out to see what was happening and he just left. I texted him to never come back ever. He is no longer welcome. I will mail his stuff to his parents, but he is no longer welcome on my property ever again. He tried to apologize, but I no longer care to hear any of his words. He did leave his written letter, and I have read it, and so has Bess. She keeps telling me that it's just manipulation, but it just breaks me. The locks get changed tomorrow. Bess is helping me pack his shit, his father is picking up his stuff tonight, and I'm just sitting here replaying the past week and a half in my head over and over. I know it's pathetic, but I'm shattered. I haven't been able to really sleep yet, and I feel like I don't even reside in my own body anymore, just going through the motions. Bess is staying with me, and I've been getting texts and social media comments about how disgusting I am. Like, my notifications just went insane over the weekend. This is just a nightmare, and I'm not even sure how to wade through this. Edits. I am so overwhelmed by the comments and support. I am trying to reply, but I'm tired and still a bit out of my head. I do appreciate everyone who is making me laugh. I needed that fun-loving energy. Bess is making us dinner, so hopefully I can eat something. Thank you all so much for the hugs and support. In the comments, Commercial Loan says, first trying to force her to convert, then bringing his family to treat her poorly in her own home, then almost getting physical with her, and ultimately trying to emotionally manipulate OP. OP, give his trash to his father and block all of them. If he goes to your place again, don't engage, just call the police. If they keep pestering you, call the non-emergency line and have the situation written, or however that works in your country. A 41-year-old man brought his mum and dad to lecture his fiancée. Shit's wild, I can't even imagine doing that at 18. The fact of the matter is, he was planning to convert you from the beginning, because of course, as the man, he's the head of the family. Women aren't fully formed and they need guidance. So many ways to manipulate. I'm proud of you for standing up and making sure that you are understood. So, there is actually a tactic that some Christians use to save souls. It's called missionary dating, and it's exactly what it sounds like. I get the impression that Todd has not been entirely honest with his parents about your relationship. He's probably been telling them that he was converting you, and their expectation was that you were far enough along to get baptized. Your refusal brought that house of cards down. I'm sorry this happened. You made the right decision to end the relationship. The Latter-day Saints call it flirt to convert. And OP says, this turns my stomach. You did the right thing. Religious affiliation by force isn't authentic or honest. He and the family accepted you in the beginning, and now when you're really committed, they want you to change. Even bringing his family to counsel you was a preview of what was likely to come. No one who loves you would allow you to be referred to as that. Yeah, pretty much this guy was flirting to convert you, OP. This was the wrong kind of missionary that he was trying on you. It really sucks that he was such a gargantuan piece of shit in his approach to this, and that he had absolutely no respect for you, but that's your classic manipulator piece of shit. He can die mad knowing that you have a spine and boundaries that he could never cross. This was all just a power play by him. I hope that he wallows in the misery that he has caused in this situation, and that he always stands on Lego bricks whenever he takes his shoes off, because he does not deserve good things right now. Thank you for sharing your story with us, OP. I hope you can heal from this one. It really sucks that you did have to experience this, but you're better off without him in your life. Posted by user Softest Addy, titled, How do I, 20 female, go about telling my boyfriend, 20 male, about my previous years of being an online sex worker? I did sex work for about 3 years and quit right when I met my boyfriend, who we will call James. James and I met back in March of 2024, and he pulled me out of the biggest depressive state that I've ever been in, and I am so grateful for him. James is the sweetest man that I know, and he's never shown signs of disliking girls who produce that content, if it makes any sense. I quit doing it all after being in a deeply depressive state for a year and a half. I had sites and other accounts where I would post. My only issue is that I have a hard time keeping secrets from someone I love. I just don't want my past to haunt me, or for me to dig myself into a deeper hole of secrets. While I do believe that partners should be able to keep certain secrets from each other, I just think that this one is too serious of a secret to keep from him. I'm afraid that he will leave me, or even worse, treat me how the men that I sold to treated me. I don't want to seem like a sex object to him in any way. While I've never had sex with someone for money, I've still sold pictures of myself. And I know the past is the past, but this has been a huge weight on my shoulders. Only a few of my friends know that I did this, so it's hard for me to ask for any advice from them, and I would like to have an unbiased opinion. Sorry if this is too long or not making any sense, I'm just trying to put my thoughts down. What do you think the pros and cons of this situation would be, and how do you think that I should go about it? Any and all advice is helpful. In the comments, clarification from OP, I apologized if my post made it seem like I was doing sex work at 17. Not that it's any better, but I was 18. It's 4 AM over here, and I did not revise my post. Self-Inflicted says, back in March 2024 is when you should have told him, today is the next best day. And OP says, I would prefer to tell him in person, but we can't see each other for about a week or two. Well, since you're getting some unrealistic bad advice, I'm just going to be blunt. You've been hiding something from him that would be a deal breaker for most people. That being said, you stopped doing it right when you met him. That fact, I think, shows that you were genuine with him, and I expect that if you frame it right, then everything will be okay. Come clean to him about it, and in my opinion, explain that it was a bad decision that you made horribly depressed. Explain how much he means to you and how you stopped as soon as you two got together. I wish you luck. You seem like a nice person. OP says, thank you. I tried to tell him when we first started talking that I was going to bring it up, but my anxiety got the best of me since it was so fresh. You might try writing down what you want to say beforehand. I found that it can help with anxiety, as well as keep the conversation concise. Definitely do it in person though. That way your sincerity will come across to him and he can't misinterpret what you're saying. I believe that the best way is to tell it along with your reasons to do it. What needs did drive you to do that? Well, there is a chance that he will leave you because of that, but if he really loves you, he will understand you. He might even already know it, and if he isn't, then you deserve better. There are guys out there who are okay with it. In future relationships, you probably want to put it to the starter pack, the things which are important to tell because they are potential deal breakers. Another thing to consider is that sex work is extremely mentally taxing. I had a partner with such background. I was and am absolutely okay with it, and honestly, such a relationship has its own perks. But she could not, and still cannot, function in relationships because she cannot handle the related guilt, and it has driven her to a severe narcissistic lock. Avoid that. Do not be ashamed. But if you feel that it was a mistake, admit it with the caveat that now you know better. And seek professional help. You might not realize how much it has messed up your brain. Yeah, I agree with that. I think everyone here is given good advice. If he does want to leave you, then he'll leave you. That's just how it is with a lot of people. Not everyone is accepting of sex work. And that's okay. That's something that we just have to accept. But if you keep this from him, and it eventually comes out that he finds out you did sex work, that would be really bad. Because you would have been lying to him by omission. And that's not okay. So, would you rather the band-aid be taken off now or later? And I would think taking off the band-aid earlier would be the better solution to this problem. I hope it goes well, OP. And now, on to the update. If you haven't seen my original post, it is right here where I asked how I should go about telling my boyfriend about my past. I told him that I needed to talk soon, and he asked, should I be nervous about this talk? So I got the chance to tell him this Sunday, and it was very hard for me to get out. It took 5 minutes of my stuttering to get it out, and he took it very well. He told me, while I do care about your past, I care more about who you are now and how we will be in the future. I'm here for you, and I don't see you any differently than I do now. That was very paraphrased. I just added in some more cheesy lovey-dovey things. This really shook me to my core, and I'm so happy that I found someone who's willing to love me for me. I'm very appreciative of everyone who had anything helpful to say. It helped me out a lot. He knows that I have read it, so soon I'll show him that post. I just want to say thank you again all so much. Edit, I'm aware this sounds like an "and everyone clap" situation, or a "she then woke up from her dream" type of update. But sometimes good things happen to people, and just because you don't see it often, doesn't mean that it never happens. Guilted into contributing to a family member's wedding, and I feel upset. So basically, as the title says, I'm being guilted to help pay for a family member's wedding, and I can't help but feel upset. My family is of the mindset that family helps family, and although objectively I have a better paying job so I seem better off, I also have more financial obligations. Student loans, car, home, miscellaneous expenses for other family members, etc. I recently got a promotion, and I thought that if I saved frugally, I could pay off my student loans this year, and have some nice savings in the next year or so for a new home as my family is growing. Out of the blue, we have a family member getting married, and although I'm happy for them, my mum told me that she already made a promise that I would help financially. I have already provided $10,000, and I'll be expected to provide more soon. I feel upset, and I feel like trash. I know this makes me seem like a doormat, and I promise I'm usually not like this, but what else can I do when I get told that they don't have anyone else to go to besides me, and that finally things are looking up for them, and things will get better, and that our family has some good news to be happy about? I know I could have pushed back and said no, but I would have felt bad about it, and I wouldn't have felt happy that my one decision led to more problems for more people. I tried placating myself that it's okay. They have family, and I love them, and they'll pay me back, so it's okay. But I can't stop feeling that because someone else wants to do things beyond their means, I have to be financially liable for their decisions. I was finally on my way to financial freedom, and now I have to start again from zero, and the costs for the wedding that I have to bear are not going to end here, which makes me even more upset. I just wanted to get this off my chest since I can't really tell anyone else about it without being seen as a prick or something. Off the bat, you shouldn't have to pay for someone else's wedding, and you shouldn't feel guilted into doing that. No one is forcing these two to have a wedding. A wedding is not a necessity. They can go to the courtroom for all I care. Making sure that you are not financially free is something that your parents are intentionally doing here, and they are bad people for doing that to you. You've got to take that money back, OP, tell everyone to piss off. You are your own person, this is my money. I will give away what I feel like giving away and not a cent more, and everyone else that wants to be frugal on my behalf can take out loans, and they can screw themselves in the process and not screw me to make themselves feel good. In the comments, No Narwhal 9465 says, "You shouldn't start something that you aren't going to continue doing. Guess what? You are now the person to bankroll everyone else's wedding. You need to start placing the boundary now. No more money is coming. That is it. Otherwise, they will keep on coming out with their hands out. You may ruffle feathers because of this, but they aren't entitled to your money. I don't even want to pay for a wedding for myself. No way in hell I'd pay for someone else's. I'm sorry, but you're a dummy for letting your family walk all over you. And I'm telling you this as someone who belongs to a culture where family is a big thing and we're expected to help each other. A wedding is a stupid thing to spend money on if you can't pay for it yourself. If your mum promised someone money, she can pay for it out of her own pockets. If they can't understand why it's wrong, then I would unfamily them. How does your family know that you have that kind of money? If they can't afford the wedding, they need to cut things out to meet their budget." OP replies, "My parents know about my promotion, and although they don't know exactly how much money I have, they are known to make assumptions, and if I ever tell them that I don't have that kind of money, they start questioning me and making a lot of assumptions and guilting me by saying things like, 'I thought we could depend on you,' and so on. I 100% agree that they need to cut things to meet their budget, but what concerns I have voiced fall on deaf ears. It's the whole family weddings are just like this debacle. Yeah, this is 100% your own fault. No one else to blame for you writing checks. The only person you should be upset at is yourself. Learn to say no. I am African, so I'm familiar with being asked for money from family. If you have a problem saying no directly, let me give you some response suggestions. There have been rumors about layoffs, so I need to save every dollar in the event that I am affected. I was just informed that my house needs a new roof/septic system ASAP. Every time you are asked, have an excuse. When you make it easy for them, they keep coming back. This family wedding will hold whether or not you contribute. And if it can't hold without your financial input, then it shouldn't happen because the next thing is a bunch of kids that you will be responsible for as well." And now, onto the update. I don't think anyone cares to read this, but I'm posting it more so as a reminder to myself to stick firm to my decision. A few other things happened between my original post and now, and I went low contact with my parents and no contact with my cousin and the rest of the family. I tried to explain to them why I can't keep funding the wedding and other major milestones, and they would not understand. This was just the tip of the iceberg for me, and I didn't realize fully until I started talking. I ended up talking about how they made me feel over the years, how they essentially bullied me over my weight and looks from a young age. A 10-year-old does not need to be told that she needs to be skinny because guys like skinny women, and if I'm not skinny, I won't find a guy to marry me. Mind you, sure I was a bit chubby, but still pretty normal for a 10-year-old. Cue the nearly 20 years of eating disorders. How they never celebrated my accomplishments like they did for my siblings or other cousins, how they put so many restrictions on me from a young age, but my siblings and cousins could do whatever they wanted, etc. The more I talked about it, the more I realized they can't take advantage of me, my money, my time, and my energy when it's convenient for them, and they won't even reciprocate with basic understanding. I was done with the bullshit about family and culture and whatnot. So yeah, I ended up blocking my extended family, going low contact with my parents, and my parents are in charge of collecting the money from the relatives and paying it back to me. In the comments, Alexa19714 says, "Look at your brand new shiny spine. You're doing great, love. It's so shiny that I need sunglasses to protect my eyes. Good job, OP. This Reddit stranger is proud of you. Keep it up. Don't let them guilt you into getting back into contact again. Live your best life. I recommend therapy to be able to heal properly for all those years of mistreatment and process what just happened." This is giving me Asian/immigrant family vibes. Like, of course OP is expected to contribute to the beloved cousin's wedding. It's not like she's getting any time soon, right? Note, I don't actually think this, but this is probably the family's logic. OP will be doomed to the fate of being the spinster aunt who's expected to bankroll the children's education whilst also babysitting them whenever the parents need time for themselves. You also see this in families dealing with generational poverty. The kid that is treated like shit does well to escape their situation, and the rest of the family turns on them even more and goes full crab bucket, accusing them of thinking that they are better than everyone else. And because they've never seen OP as an independent individual who has worked hard for what she's accomplished, they feel that they have the right to OP's money. God, I hate that crabs in a bucket mentality so much. It's just like, why do we need to keep doing that to people in this day and age? Are people too proud and too ignorant to really acknowledge the fruit of others' labor and not claim it for themselves? Because as you can see through OP's words, it's so damaging to maintain that mentality. It's also so hard to escape from that I'm surprised OP was able to grow a spine and release herself from that captivity in such a short time. Though I will say, OP, I'm very proud of you for doing so, and I'm glad that you have blocked everyone and you're moving on with your life. You deserve nothing less than people that love and support you and are in your corner, and who will not rob you to save face. Thank you for sharing your story with us. Our next post is by user WarmWaterTA, titled, "Am I the asshole for making my partner's drinking water too warm?" To set the scene, I, 35 male, like to drink cold or chilled water, and my partner, 33 female, likes room temperature pre-boiled water. To accommodate for both our needs, we have a kettle for boiling water, after which it is transferred to 2 water jugs, which are either left at room temperature or used to refill the dispenser in the fridge. On to the situation. 3 months ago, I emptied both room temperature jugs into the fridge and boiled more water at night before bed. Partner came down, was furious she had no room temperature water to drink, and we came to an agreement. Don't fill up both jugs into the dispenser and leave her one. Fast forward to today, there was going to be some burst water main repairs outside by the utility company, so in the morning before my partner woke up, I decided to make sure that we had enough water to drink. I filled the dispenser with 1 jug and then halved the room temperature water in the other jug into both. We had previously shattered a jug on a cold day when we poured boiling water into it, So I thought that I'd temper this by making sure the boiling water would enter lukewarm water, reducing chances of shattering the jugs. I went back to work and thought nothing of it. Partner wakes up and goes down, and she is furious. She doesn't have any room temperature water. I tried to placate her by mixing the lukewarm water with the water from the dispenser to make quote-unquote room temperature water, but it's futile. What's going on? Why are you going so crazy over water? This feels like if aliens tried to write a sitcom about, humans and they didn't have any idea about who we are. She won't relent. She tips the entire bottle of water that I mixed out into the sink and tries herself and can't get the temperature right either. She is absolutely raging at me at this point for not listening to her or caring about her needs. She storms out of the house in a huff. So am I the asshole here, or perhaps is this being blown out of proportion and mixing water to a specific temperature is not as big of a deal? In the comments, one mediocre man says, "Info. What the actual hell?" I think that's the only reasonable question. I also want to know, what the actual hell? I would love, a hot water, but if you just let it sit so it cools, I just need to know that it was once hot. Sorry, I'm the worst. What's this? I didn't ask for this. What is this? Lukewarm water for ants? There are 4 types of people in the world. Those who look at a glass and say that it's half empty but too cold. Those who say that it's half full but too warm. Those that say that it's too cold but half full. And those that say that it's too warm but halfway. Wait, where was I? I can't even give a judgment. I don't understand what's going on. Basically, the first time she had 2 jugs of room temperature water, then OP went into the kitchen, and when he left, she had 0 jugs, and he now has 2 jugs of cold water. Then she asked him not to do that again, and he agreed. Then the second time she had 2 jugs of room temperature water until OP went into the kitchen. After that, OP had 1 jug of cold water, and his partner had 2 jugs of hot water. Cue a bunch of people saying she should take care of her own damn water when she had 2 jugs until OP touched them both times. Also, cue a bunch of people calling her insane for caring what her water temperature is when OP cares so much about it that he'll take all the water to make it his temperature. Back up to the post. Edit. Okay, wow, this really blew up. Who knew that water would be so polarizing? I never thought that this post would start lukewarm Watergate. I just got off work and reading through all the replies. Looks like there's lots of questions, so I'll do my best to answer them and provide some clarity. Thank you everyone for the comments, the stories, the judgments, and everything in between. I appreciate all the input so far. There's been some great takes that I'll take to heart and consider properly, including how best to communicate post-Watergate with my partner. So, more info. Who boiled the kettle and filled the jugs the previous night? I did. Why did you touch all the water? Well, firstly, we don't have 1 jug for her and 1 for me. We have 2 jugs for the household, me and her. I forgot about the water mains being repaired until early this morning when the trucks showed up and they started working. I rushed down and made sure that there was enough water for the both of us, not just me. On top of filling all the jugs in the dispenser and boiling another kettle full of water, I also filled a few sinks so that we'd have extra water to flush the toilet if need be. I honestly thought the water would be cool enough by the time she woke up, since it's a cold day, but I guess I was wrong. I didn't expect her to react the way that she did. Is she OCD? No, she's just pedantic about certain things and needs them to be a specific way. But I don't think it's any more demanding than any other person who is neat and tidy and has certain idiosyncrasies. Why don't you drink from the tap? Are you Asian? Yes, we are an Asian couple. Many of you have guessed that. Drinking boiled water is cultural and a preference. There is nothing particularly wrong with the tap water in our country in Australia, but it tastes better to my partner after being boiled. Warm, but not boiling water tastes different than cooled to room temperature boiled water to her. I will drink water straight from the tap every single day of the week. I love my country's yummy, mineral-tasting water. Maybe there's a little bit of dirt in there, but that's what makes Australia great. Connor does not have a gun to my head right now. He is not forcing me to say that. These are my own free will opinions. So it's a preference. I prefer chilled water, but I would happily drink room temperature water or even warm water if there wasn't any chilled water. I drink what we have, but preferred to have chilled. It doesn't affect me in any big way. This morning, I just filled everything I could, including the dispenser. Why don't you use ice? Well, I can definitely use ice, but our fridge has a built-in dispenser that we have to manually fill, so I do that from time to time with water from the jugs. Normally, I'll only ever use one and leave one for her. This morning in my haste, I used both as I wanted to make sure everything was full. Dispenser, both jugs, and kettle. Why don't you have more jugs? Trust me, this is definitely our next step. As well as the breeder water filter, but I'm worried that she might not like the taste. Plus, she might insist that we boil it first before it goes into the breeder. Why did you pour half the water into an empty jug and fill both with boiling? Well, as previously explained, we shattered a glass jug on a cold day, previously boiling water directly into it, because science. I don't know the physics here. Anyways, I was trying to avoid that, and thought the boiling plus room temperature water would cool sufficiently by the time she woke up, but I calculated wrong. Anyways, I hope that clarifies most of the questions. I'll post an update once we've reached an amicable resolution, and my guess is that it's not about the water as some people have already said, but there's other underlying issues, and this was a trigger. Thank you for taking an interest, and for all the comments. And now on to the update. So 2 years on, I thought I'd make an update to the original debacle that confused everyone and had polarized the community. There was so many comments. Some incredibly emphatic and helpful, some racist and mean, but generally I don't believe there was ever a consensus reached. Despite all that, I was incredibly grateful to all the comments received from everyone. Whilst I didn't take the time to reply, I actually did read through all of them. On to the update. So as some people pointed out, our argument was not really about the water. Generally, in every relationship, every person just wants to feel seen, heard, important, understood, and loved. My actions that day didn't make her feel that way, and in and of itself was more indicative of a longer-running issue between us in our relationship. For a bit of background, we both have or had childhood trauma, and the beginning of our relationship was quite volatile. Defying the odds, we stayed together and got married. However, marriage doesn't solve those issues. Over the last 2 years, we've continued to stay together. Yes, we are still married, much to the chagrin of those who were advocating our divorce, side-eye, and continued to grow together. I swear to God, people are just inventing words. I've never heard chagrin in my entire life. Does anyone really just throw out chagrin, just conversationally? Really? Believe it or not, the incident involving the water was a bit of a catalyst to us having better conversations regarding how we're going to resolve our own trauma and improve our communication. Much to the chagrin of Marky, they fixed their relationship problems. Long story short, she got therapy, I got therapy, we did some marriage counseling, she got more therapy, I got more therapy, and it's been a journey, but a worthwhile one. When two people really do love each other and want to work it out, they'll find a way to. I'm so genuinely grateful for my wife, who she was, who she is now, the strength that she has, and the belief that she had in us, and more so in me. Much to the chagrin of Reddit. Our communication is better than it's ever been, our intimacy is stronger than it's ever been, and we are at such an amazing place. The future looks incredibly bright. It took a lot of work to get here, and there's a lot more work left to be done, but we have each other's backs, and we'll keep going together. Thank you again, Reddit, and whilst this update might not be what some of you were hoping for, it's where we're at now. In the comments, Little Be Thy Blue says, "Okay, so I gotta ask, how many water jugs do you have now?" OP says, "We have 4, 2 for her and 2 for me." You're the asshole. Nobody cares about therapy, communication, and self-improvement. We were here for the jugs, and you left us waiting. The jugs, OP! The jugs! You should take a bow for such a Hall of Famer Am I the Asshole post about water. There's been a whole summer of dreadful stories by out-of-school angsty teens who just want to rant. This issue was legendary, and I hope you two eventually found some humor in it as much as a lot of us did. OP says, haha, yes. Looking back now, it's easy to find the humor and laugh together at the water, the jugs, and everything. I'm amazed as anyone that the original post set off everyone as much as it did. When I go back and reread it, I can sense the frustration, confusion, and overall panic in my tone of voice, and in the way that I explained the situation. It really was frantic and all over the place. Another commenter says, but I still don't understand. Why the water? Wife must have felt seen, heard, blah 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 in other ways in the marriage. What was it about the water specifically that set her off into a raging asshole? OP doesn't say. OP replies, there was nothing specific about the water per se. I think of it as the straw that broke the camel's back. Whilst it wasn't our biggest disagreement or fight, the fact that it was over something so trivial made us both sit down and talk about the ludicrosity of the situation and realize there's way more underlying issues at play. To be honest, I glossed over a lot longer of a journey that we've been on. For some periods, it was actually kinda touch and go for our relationship. It was like a swinging pendulum over the last 2 years, with periods of feeling hopeful, optimistic, loving, to periods of frustration, disconnection, and despair, much to the chagrin of Reddit. And it was honestly really over the last 6 months that we started getting it, with it being reaching a place where we are emphatic to ourselves and our past childhood traumas. It's ridiculous how much that stuff affects us into our adult lives, and then secondly, being truly emphatic towards each other, and lastly, communicating in a way that doesn't trigger the other person, and being aware of our own triggers. Am I the asshole for not wanting to wear my future mother-in-law's wedding dress? Me, 26 female, and my fiancé, 27 male, got engaged in February of 2024. We are planning our wedding to be in March of next year, on the day of when we first met. We began planning the wedding May 2024. The theme is light blue and white. It's important to know that my fiancé is an only child. A couple weeks ago, I was shopping for wedding dresses with my mum and sister when I found this lovely dress, and it needed only a little bit of tailoring to fit me. When I sent photos to my fiancé, he thought that it was beautiful too. Now there's the problem that my future mother-in-law was over, and when my fiancé showed her the dress, she immediately called me. I ignored her as I was still with my mum and sister. When I got back to mine and my fiancé's house, my future mother-in-law was waiting for me. When I walked through the door, she immediately got up from the couch and accused me of lying, claiming that I had promised to wear her dress. I never had. This was such an out-of-the-blue thing for my future mother-in-law, as we normally get on really well. I told her that I had never promised her anything. She then yelled at me, calling me a liar, and that I didn't deserve to get married to my fiancé. I was so taken aback by that I just walked away. I have done so much to make sure that this woman likes me, and now she doesn't because I don't want to wear her wedding dress that went out of style 50 years ago? Once I had stormed off to my room, my fiancé joined once he had sent his mother back to her house. He asked what had happened, and I explained my side of the story, about how I was just suddenly accused of all these lies that I never said. He then explained his mum's side of things, which were that apparently when I first started dating my fiancé, my future mother-in-law had shown her wedding dress and I had said that I would love to get married in that. I started dating my fiancé 5 years ago. I honestly don't even remember saying that, but it was so long ago that I might have. But I don't think so, as the dress isn't the prettiest. The next day, I woke up with messages from my future mother-in-law saying that I'm such a liar and that my fiancé should not marry a liar. I'm gonna be honest, I teared up as I read those messages because I tried so hard to be liked by her, and I thought I was. I told my fiancé about the messages, and he said that she's probably just hurt that I don't want to wear her dress. But it's my wedding, why can't I wear what I want? Please tell me your opinions. In the comments, Outrageous Victory 18 says, "Oh, come on. Your mother-in-law sounds irrational, manipulative, and controlling. If she's like this before you get married, best of luck to you after the wedding. She's not likely to change, and your fiancé seems like a mummy's boy. Not the asshole, but have a real good think about your future." OP says, "This whole thing has changed my opinion on her. I just don't understand how it all happened. Is it possible that mother-in-law has been hiding her true self all this time? Because people don't tend to become so manipulative overnight." OP replies, "That is possible, but we haven't had any conflicts like this, so maybe she wasn't hiding. She was just never given the opportunity to show her true self. Or OP was trying so hard to make everyone like her, she didn't notice the manipulation. Mine changed within a week of the wedding. It was like a power switch. I couldn't fathom it. I thought I must have done something wrong or said something, but nope. Now that someone had taken her son off of her hands, the mask was off. I was raised to be fine with abuse, so for years I just kept trying to please until she started to be poisonous to my kids. Not the asshole. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Not the asshole. You get to decide what you wear to your wedding. You never promised to wear mother-in-law's dress, and even according to what she said, you just said a complimentary thing when she was showing the dress off years ago. Your fiancé seems to just want to smooth things over. Ask if he really wants to see you on your wedding day and know you are unhappy. That even if you wear the dress, the only one that will enjoy it will be his mother. Not a great start to a marriage." OP says, "These are very good points, and I never did promise her that, so it's truly a shock. I'm going to speak to him tonight." I'm with everyone else here. He sounds like a mummy's boy with the way that he's acting. He's getting married to you. You should be priority number one. I don't get why he keeps downplaying his mum's actions, and why he keeps trying to get you to see things from her perspective. If he were a good man and could stop thinking about this in black and white, he would be on your side and shutting her down in private and not making this a problem with you. He would be reassuring you that he will fix this issue, that his mum's not going to be a problem anymore, and if she is, then he'll make sure that it never happens again. But he keeps saying that, oh, she's probably just hurt that you don't want to wear her dress. Or think about it from her side of things. You know, how is she feeling too? The writing from this man is crazy. He's doing tricks on it. He's doing backflips trying to stay on mum's side. Updates. Hi. I'm not sure how to start this, but I sat my fiancé down and talked to him about my future mother-in-law. When he finally gave me the time to actually talk, I mentioned how I wanted to wear my own dress to my wedding, and he once again brought up how it was also for our parents. WTF, mate? I explained calmly that it was a union of us, not our parents, and unless his mum wanted to pay for our entire wedding, it was our wedding. Then I said how he found the dress that I originally wanted beautiful, and he only changed his mind when his mum raised the issue. He said he only said that it was beautiful because that's what I would have wanted to hear, and that he found it ugly. Oof. That physically hurt to hear, oh my god. I didn't react to that last comment, and instead, I brought up how I could wear something else of his mum's, and he completely shut down that idea by saying that his mum offered the dress, and I couldn't take something from her if she didn't offer it, and that I should be grateful that she offered her dress. I admit that I was angry at this, and replied with, "Am I marrying you or your mother?" When I asked him this, he yelled at me, saying that what his mum was asking wasn't a big deal, and that I was blowing this out of proportion. After he said that I was making a big deal out of my wedding dress, I stormed out and called my mum, explaining the whole situation. When I went back downstairs, he was gone, and he texted me explaining that he's going to stay with his mum until I come to my senses. Yeah, I came to the wrong house. Yeah, I fell in love with the wrong man. Now I'm rethinking my whole relationship, as I can't marry him if I'm also marrying his mother, and I'm not going to be one of those people on Reddit talking about my horrible mother-in-law, even though I sort of am. You can look past these things, yes, that is a choice that you can make. But oh my god, he just said straight to your face that the wedding dress was ugly. You should be grateful that his mum offered up her ugly dress that you didn't want. Don't you dare ask for anything else. You're making a mountain out of a molehill. You're blowing my comments about your ugly wedding dress out of proportion. And then after all of that, he just leaves and goes back to mum. That's crazy. You gotta be the one to come to your senses? That's crazy. Update 2. Thank you all for the comments. I appreciate it so much. I talked to my mum and she said that my fiancé is acting weird and immature. Yesterday, my fiancé's mum called me explaining that we need to talk, and I agreed. She started off saying how I was going back on a promise and that she was hurt by that. I never got the chance to defend myself before she said she's willing to move past it if I wear her dress. I completely shut down that idea and expressed how it was my day and I want to wear what I want. I then offered that I could wear something else of hers if she wanted that. She didn't. She wants me to wear her dress. I tried to explain how I wasn't comfortable wearing her dress, and I never promised to wear it, and it might have been one of my fiancé's ex-girlfriends. She, however, didn't take this, and blew up at me through the phone, calling me a liar, unworthy, and a witch, an absolute wicked witch. I hung up on her and blocked her number. Then my fiancé texted me saying that it wasn't fair to yell at his mother about the dress and that I'm acting so immature, but she was the one who blew up at me. Then I texted my fiancé to meet up at our house to talk things out. He refused, saying that he would come tomorrow. So now I'm waiting for him to show up. In the comments, your fiancé is extremely immature. Your wedding has nothing to do with either one of your parents. Whether or not he thinks the dress is ugly, he ain't wearing it, so why is his opinion relevant? I would ask him whose wishes come first, his mother's or yours. This made me think that the whole problem could have been solved if he wore the dress, but since he and his mother were such jerks, we're past that now. He should still wear the dress though, since it's so important to his mother that it be worn. What is there to talk about? You don't want to wear the dress. He wants you to because he's a mama's boy. That won't change if you get married. You get pregnant? He'll demand that his mum is in the delivery room, that she is the first to hold the baby, that all holidays are spent with her. Is that the life you really want? And wouldn't the wife possibly wearing dress from her mum if not her own pick? I've never heard a future mother-in-law having bride wear her side of the family dress. Update 3. Hello everyone. Again, thank you for the kind words and comments. I appreciate it so much and didn't expect it to sort of blow up, and I wish I could reply to all of you. I talked with my fiancé about his childish behavior and how I was angry at his mum and him for trying to get me to wear the dress. He tried to talk, but I quickly cut him off and continued saying how it was no longer about the dress and it was how he took his mother's side over mine. He wasn't happy with this, of course, and said that he was only taking the side which was right. I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my mind. I hate him. However, I disagreed with this and said a dress was a huge factor of a wedding and that I wouldn't wear something that I wasn't comfortable with. And then I again brought up how he should be backing me, not his mother, if we are to get married. He got super pissed off at me for that, as I said if instead of when. He started yelling how I was going to cancel our wedding just because of a stupid dress and how all of this must be some joke. I stood firm and told him that this whole thing has got me questioning whether I want to marry him. He once again, surprise, surprise, tried to storm out. I followed him and told him that he had to talk to me or I'm ending it. He whipped around and slapped me. I stood there in shock as he slammed our front door and ran back to his mummy. Safe to say I am not marrying this man and I am texting him just that. Thank you so much for all of your comments. I can't explain how much you have all helped me. Hopefully I can find a man and marry him in less than a year so that my beautiful planning doesn't get wasted. That last sentence was sarcasm. I don't know what to believe anymore. I believed it. In the comments, he slapped you? Oh, hell nah. He thinks you're being petty? Show him petty, press charges against this mama's boy, and tell him to piss off. You dodged 2 bullets. OP says, I'm definitely going to press charges for assault. Any part of me that loved him still got slapped right out, literally. That's a crazy sentence to end with a crying laughing emoji. Oh my god. I love that you can laugh about it. You're a strong woman. You're going to have an amazing life without him. OP says, thank you. Much appreciated and needed. Honestly, cancel everything that you can without penalty now. Tell them that he assaulted you, as they might be more sympathetic that your cancellation is for a serious matter. Any forfeits can come out of his pockets. I'm a wedding vendor and would definitely full refund for an officially documented assault. Like, file this police report and have a case number, send that to your vendors, and they'll probably all do the same, 'cause hell no. But banana bread? Hell yeah! Oh my god. You are so fortunate to have seen his true colors before you married him. I know numerous women whose husband's personality did a 180 after getting married. I know this is an incredibly emotional time for you, but remember to be grateful that you were saved from marrying an abuser. OP replies, I can't believe that was 5 years down the drain. Shame he ended up like that through no fault of my own. Well, it's not down the drain. You got 5 years of learning who you are and what you deserve. Someone better than him. Update 4. Hello again. This will be a bit of a short update. Again, thank you all for the kind words, and some of the not so kind. This morning, I went to the police station and filed for a restraining order, which will then be taken to court. I've taken photos of the mark of my cheek from him slapping me, and video footage of him coming and leaving my house. Hopefully all goes well, and I can leave him and his crazy mum behind me. I'm going to use the wedding venue to host myself an early birthday party, and going on the honeymoon with my sister. I took your advice and unblocked him and his mummy, which I then quickly had to mute as his mum blew up my phone. I texted my ex finally calling things off and that he's an asshole. He replied with saying that he's sorry, etc., and bombarding my phone with messages asking me to forgive him. Sorry for the short update. It'll probably be the last one for a while. Again, thank you for the comments and support. Lots of love, OP. In the comments, Jamie Estate W says, not the asshole at all. It's great that you're taking steps to protect yourself and move on. It's your wedding, your dress, and your life. Enjoy that birthday party and honeymoon. You deserve all the happiness. Good job dropping the dead weight. Enjoy your party, but just to be safe, hire security and give them Dear X and that mummy's pic. OP says, good idea. I don't want them there. Quotes, he replied with saying that he's sorry, etc., and bombarding my phone with messages asking me to forgive him. More manipulation in 3, 2, 1. OP says, I've put him on mute now. Never going to get back with him. No more responding either. They can use it against you if they fight the restraining order. Give yourself some peace and keep that mute on. There's also a few apps that can filter them out into a specific folder, I think. And OP says, I'll have to look into those. I try to get him to confirm that slap. Just to reiterate, the marriage is off, slapping me is abuse. Hopefully he's stupid enough to say that she made him do it. Get that sweet restraining order, OP. The best solution would be for OP's ex to marry his mother. Then she can wear her lovely dress again and be his perfect mum bride. Yeah, look, it all shifted pretty badly when he slapped her like that. I really didn't expect him to get physically abusive with her, but the signs were all there. And I don't want to minimize it with the jokes that I've been making as well, absolutely not. He deserves the assault charges that OP's going to press against him, he deserves a lot worse, and he deserves to be the one marrying his mother. Jesus Christ, they can take themselves out of the dating pool together if she's so obsessed with him, and vice versa. As always, thank you for sharing the story with us, OP, I very much appreciate that. And I hope that your birthday party and the honeymoon with your sister goes incredibly well. I also hope that he stays out of your life, but it seems unlikely at this point in time. Am I the asshole here for getting it elsewhere since my wife didn't want to have sex anymore? A few months ago, I posted for relationship advice on another subreddit. Basically, my wife has decided unilaterally that we are done having sex. She found out that she cannot have kids due to a choice she made before we met, and kids, apparently, are the only reason that she was willing to have sex. I love my wife, and I enjoy being intimate with her, but it was making our marriage untenable after 2 years of this. So I posted for advice. I got a lot of great support and suggestions about how to talk to my wife, and I tried a lot of it. I started going for counseling for myself as well. But no matter how I approached her about our situation, she would not try and see it from my point of view. Every discussion would end with her crying and screaming in my face that I'm trying to emotionally manipulate her. I then wrote her a letter outlining my feelings and asking her to come with me for counseling, to seek it for herself, perhaps to go see a doctor. I was kind and loving in the letter. The last thing I wanted to do was set her off. I worked on the wording with my counselor to make sure that I wasn't saying anything aggressive that could be misinterpreted. She read the letter, and then she scrolled across it with her red Sharpie. "Go get it elsewhere because you were not getting it from me." And then she walked out. I sat there for about an hour doing nothing, and then I told myself that that was what I was going to do. We are both fairly successful in our jobs. I'm not super attractive, but I'm fit and a good talker. It took a while, but I met someone. We started out just as friends, but it did become physical. I made sure she knew that I was married, she's not interested in a relationship, so I guess I'm a safe option for her. My wife found out because I did not try and hide it. She was crying when I got home one night. When I came in, she asked if I was going to leave her, and I said no. She asked if I was cheating on her, and I said I was getting sex elsewhere. She said that was cheating, and I did not disagree. I asked her what she wanted to do. She said that I had to stop. I asked her if we were going to start having sex. She said I was an irrational asshole if I thought that she would have sex with me after I cheated. I went to my desk and pulled out a photocopy of the letter that I wrote with her answer on it. I went to have a shower and go to my room to sleep. When I woke up, she was sitting on the couch waiting to talk. She said that she reread the letter and that she realized she had not before. She assumed that it was just a letter begging for sex. She said she would go for counseling alone and with me. All I had to do was stop having sex elsewhere. I said I would be willing to pause my friendship until we saw a counselor, and that if I saw progress in our relationship, then I would break it off. She said she would not agree to counseling without me leaving the other woman. It almost turned into a fight, so I just went for my run. Before I left, I asked her what would compel her to go to counseling if I stopped having sex elsewhere. When I got back, she still did not have an answer. She couldn't even say that our relationship was worth saving. I don't want a divorce, but I am willing to leave over this. I am 28, and I am not going the rest of my life without sex. She refuses to see my side. In the comments, J Little Bass says, "The fact that you made a photocopy of the letter tells me that you already know this train is headed for Divorce Town." OP says, "I am prepared for that eventuality." Has she ever explained why she doesn't want sex? Is she part of some fundamentalist religion or something, or does it hurt? OP says, "She really wants children, can't have them, no point in sex in her eyes." Question, why is she so sex averse? Have you talked about this and why she can't enjoy a normal sexual relationship with her husband? I wouldn't say that you cheated in this scenario because her choice of words led to this, as did her refusal to read your letter or take your emotions into consideration. I wouldn't be caught dead with a woman like your wife. OP says, "We had a great sex life until we started trying for children. Then she found out that she cannot. Now she doesn't see the point of sex. Please get a divorce. She needs therapy, and you need to understand cheating on her is not excusable either. Two people just hurting each other intentionally. That is so damn sad." OP says, "She literally told me to get it elsewhere. Literally, not figuratively, like in her own words, written down." You just want to argue semantics. Do what you want. You're looking for validation and not advice. You can't claim to love or respect your wife and then cheat on her. OP says, "Okay, I will be more clear. Prior to her diagnosis, we would occasionally invite other women into our relationship. The reason that forsaking all others was not included was intentional because we did not want to break our vows." Info. Did you blame her for being infertile? When she found out she couldn't have children, what was her reaction other than no longer wanting sex? How did you emotionally support her? Do you think that she feels at fault for her infertility? Has there been an attempt at therapy or medication following finding out that she was infertile? OP says, "I do not blame her for being sterile. Her choices led to that, but it's just a horrible outcome that I wouldn't wish on anyone. Anger. She was really angry when she found out. Mostly at herself, some at her old partners, mostly herself. I was there for her. When she was angry and there was nothing that I could do for her, I sought out counseling for myself so I could learn how to be there for her no matter what. She feels she deserves to be infertile to make up for her prior choices. I told her that no one deserves what happened to her body. I believe that I may have mentioned that she will not seek counseling. Info. I want to know exactly what your reaction was when you found out that she can't get pregnant and why. What did you say to her? What were your exact words? I'm willing to bet that that'll have the answer for why she cut off sex. OP says, I held her when she cried. We went home and cried together, and then we both took a week of paid time off. We stayed home and I cooked for her while she lay in bed. I told her that we would be okay and that we had lots of different ways of starting a family. I told her that I was okay with just her for the rest of my life if that's what she wanted too. I did tell her that I was sad that we would not be having a biological child, but that it was not the end-all be-all of my life. At what point did you start referring to what she did in her past as stupid decisions? Do you call it that around her? Have you ever said that to her face? OP says, it is how she refers to her past. She says that she made a lot of stupid decisions when she was young. I knew about her past when we started dating, and I accepted it as part of who she is. We did not know until 2 years ago that her prior decisions had some fantastically shitty consequences for us. I have never referred to her decisions as stupid when talking to her. I'm actually kind of curious if you guys would have any idea of what decisions would make her infertile like that. Like, I'm looking at Google here and there's alcohol, endometriosis, tobacco smoking. For me, I'm thinking it's the sexually transmitted diseases that caused it. Being exposed to toxins is another potential choice. I know that speculation in this instance, given the circumstances, is wrong, but I can't help my curiosity. This is a very much sticky situation, and you lying to your wife about breaking off your affair if she agrees to go to counseling, that's also a bad decision. Her writing that down on the piece of paper was not permission for you to do that. I completely understand your justification and explanation for your actions, but at the end of the day, it was still cheating, regardless of if she said to go get it somewhere else or not. I feel like the relationship was already very much strained before this, and the cheating is just going to strain it even harder. I know everyone in the comments is always like, oh, Reddit's always proclaiming divorce straight away and screaming it to high heavens. But if you do stick it out in a situation like this, I genuinely don't know if you can rebuild that initial trust that you guys had with each other. Can you bring the relationship back to a stable point? I just don't realistically see that happening. And now, onto the updates. I told my wife that I broke off my relationship with the woman that I was having sex with. I did this because she said she would not agree to go to counseling unless I did so. She refused to go for counseling after I told her I broke off my relationship with my friend. She said that I was her husband and that I didn't have the right to her body or to get sex elsewhere. Since I lied as a test, I think you can guess I knew that she was lying. We are getting divorced, she deserves to be happy with someone who is okay with no sex in the marriage, and I deserve a life. I have moved out and am moving forward with my life. Thanks for all of your advice. In the comments, Gentle Bastard says, funny how you don't have the right to her body or to get sex elsewhere, but she somehow has the right to demand that you don't have sex anymore. You ain't getting any tonight. I ain't getting any from you tonight. He said that with his chest. Ah yes, the get sex somewhere else's wife, who threw a tantrum because you heeded her command. I still have no sympathy for her because, while I get that it's her body, she ultimately refused any and all discussions on the matter, and even here, only dangled the prospects of an actual dialogue on the subject to get her way. Well, she played herself and still thought that she could pull the, you married me and made vows, so you're stuck, and I don't have to do anything. Welcome to the age of no-fault divorces, sweet pea. Yeah, she seems super selfish. Honestly, I couldn't imagine someone like that as a very great person even outside of the bedroom. I don't get it. If you don't want to have sex, which is important in a relationship, and you fight whenever it's brought up and won't get help for it, then when your partner reaches their breaking point, you basically tell them to seek intimacy elsewhere. Why continue being in this relationship? If she doesn't want to have sex, then that's fine, but her partner doesn't want that lifestyle, and instead of being adults discussing this, you put down their feelings, then, how did she think the relationship would last? If she wanted it to work, then why not seek help? You can't rationalize the irrational. Her inner turmoil after learning that she's infertile is causing her to be unreasonable and do things that rational people wouldn't do in order to assuage her internal pain. Yeah, at the end of the day, I understand that OP's actions were problematic, but she is the much bigger problem here. She ultimately is the one that caused the downfall of that marriage, and thank God that we have no-fault divorces now, because OP would have been stuck in that situation. I think there's a sliding scale of assholery going on here, and what OP did, yes, was wrong, but I think she's on the opposite end. She withheld sex and then was like, no, I'm not talking about it. Best of luck to her in the future. I wish her all the best, but OP, I hope that you find someone that is more compatible with you. Thank you for sharing your story with us. Our next post is by user SavingSuccotash432, titled, Never have a sexual relationship with somebody in your building, it ain't worth it. So this woman in my building kept making idle conversation with me and eventually asked for us to exchange numbers, and I did so. We started texting, and one thing led to another, and we end up having sex a few times. Now, I told her from the beginning that I'm focused on improving my life right now. I don't want a girlfriend, but hey, if you just want to have fun, we can have some fun. So the more that we had sex, the more she kept randomly showing up at my door at all hours, asking to hang out, and it just began to be what I said that I wasn't looking for, so I cut her off. Fast forward, my car windows have been busted out twice. She's emptied a whole bag of trash in front of my apartment door and took my clothes out of the washer mid-wash and dumped them on the floor. OP, stop sticking your dick in crazy, please. I'm too embarrassed to tell the leasing office about the situation, and I don't want to involve the police. Basically, I guess I'm gonna have to move, and it sucks because I love my apartment. I even tried talking to her and being very kind about it, but her response is to go back to how it used to be, or she will keep doing the stuff. Any advice? Yeah, go back in time and don't stick your dick in crazy. Also, my building has entry locks and a parking garage with limited access, and that's what makes me so mad, is that no other woman could easily be making my life this hellish if she didn't live in the building. In the comments, Arsenek says, explain the situation to your leasing office, file a police report for your car windows, and maybe get a restraining order. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. You should be focused on improving your life and shouldn't have to move out of the apartment that you love. OP says, yeah, I've been saving the texts just in case I do decide to go to the leasing office, but damn, I just don't like everyone knowing my business, but this situation has become a nightmare. We deal with stuff like this all the time in the office, and way more intense than that. Just tell them that you had a casual relationship with another resident, tried cutting it off, and now you feel like she is harassing you. They'll follow up with her and will post a legal notice if they have proof, something that can hold up in court, that she is harassing you. Just another day in property management. OP says, yeah, the leasing office lady is pretty chill, so I'm sure she'll understand and help. It's just like, I enjoy being a ghost tenant. Pay my rent online, maintenance requests online. Like, leasing never hears from me, and for me to have to go talk to them about this pisses me off, but it's my fault for even messing with her to begin with. This happened to me. It's really scary dealing with an unhinged person. Don't give her any attention, don't try to reason or apologize. She feels powerful and is feeding off of your fear and discomfort. Keep a log and take photos. Go to the leasing office with evidence. Read up on personality disorders so that you can spot one a mile away. And OP says, you're totally right that she's feeding off of my fear and discomfort, like I gotta sit in my laundry room for 2 hours to make sure my clothes aren't damaged. Look, if she was able to mask the craziness from the start, I can give you an absolute pass for that one. We all make mistakes, OP. You've now got to phase out of your ethereal form into the real world and get down to that leasing office and get them to file a police report. If you continue to exist in your ghostly shackles, then the crimes of Crazy will continue to haunt you. But they have CCTV footage of her committing multiple crimes. You're gonna be absolutely fine, my brother. They're gonna have rock solid evidence, she's gonna be evicted lickety-split, and you're gonna be good, because you can probably get a restraining order as well based off of that video evidence that they have. And now, on to the update. So yesterday I posted about a problem that I was having with a woman in my apartment building who had started making my life hell after we had casual sex a few times, and I decided to cut her off. Well, this morning I took off work, went to the leasing office, and explained the situation to the leasing lady. I explained the situation and showed her all the text evidence that I had and pictures, and she was more mad about it than I was, and basically said that I should have come to her the first time she did anything. I was so glad that she understood the situation. She said she's going to check the parking garage cameras on the dates that my car windows got busted out and see if they've got her on film clearly. She also said she's going to send old girl an email saying that doing stuff like this is grounds for eviction. She said she can't evict her yet until they have full proof that it was her, but she sounds dedicated to getting that proof. Thanks everyone for the advice, and hopefully this gets resolved and I don't have to move. In the comments, good for the leasing office lady. I'm glad that she's helping you out and you won't have to buy your own cameras for evidence. The crazy and controlling girl probably won't even expect it honestly, since her emotions are so far ahead of her. OP replies, yeah, honestly, the leasing lady turning up how she did made me want to keep my apartment even more. Like, she was really mad about the situation. She even said email her any time of the day if anything else happens. Make sure that you don't have her blocked or anything, so if she sends you some more unhinged shit, then you have it on record. You can mute her notifications so whatever she sends you doesn't need to impact you. Also, please keep us updated over the next few weeks and days. I have a feeling that this isn't the end of things, cause that behavior is legit insane. OP says, will do thanks. I blocked a number cause she would keep calling me 24/7 back to back, especially when I realized there was no conversation that could be had in which that she would agree to stop. I'ma try to mute her calls. Thank God that we have leasing office ladies in our lives. They love the power that they have over tenants that they can just evict them like this. They can send out well-written threats to clients, and that is part of their job that they are getting paid for. I'm sure that she is absolutely lapping this situation up. She's like, hot damn, some more drama that I can get involved with. I can be judge, jury, and executioner of this one. Let's go. My apologies, leasing office ladies. I wasn't aware of your game. Update 2. So this morning, the leasing lady calls me and tells me to come to the office. I get there, and she has 4K crystal clear footage of old girl breaking my windows out on 2 different occasions. Old girl didn't cover her face or nothing, plus one time she broke them out, she went to her car to get something before going back into the building. Not only did she have the car footage, but she had elevator footage of old girl taking a full bag of trash to my floor, then getting back in the elevator with an empty bag. You done messed up, old girl. So leasing lady asks if I wanted to call the cops, and I said nah, because I honestly just try to deal with the police as little as possible. I just told her that she can handle the situation however she wants. I just need old girl to leave me alone, or else I'ma have to move, unfortunately. She said, okay, gotcha. I'ma take care of it. Couple hours later, leasing lady calls me and says the cops just came and picked old girl up, and I'm like, what? And she said, yeah, she called the cops and told them she had a tenant who's been breaking into cars at night. She said that since it happened on apartment property, the leasing agency can file charges without me. She said she didn't even mention me or anything. She also said that old girl's getting evicted, and on top of that, gave me a $300 rent credit for next month to help cover some of my window repairs, because in her exact words, that lunatic should have never been living here in the first place. Best leasing lady ever. In the comments, do not, and I repeat, do not have casual sex with the leasing lady. I will not have casual relations with that woman. Honestly, I wonder if the leasing lady hated the troublemaking woman from the get-go. Could be that she caused other problems in the building, and she was super happy to have a real solid case to evict her now. Yeah, I think once she started reviewing footage, she found other shit, and probably figured out other unexplained phenomena. You know, I like to have a relationship, but these kind of insane situations just make me feel that being single isn't so bad. I've been single for a while, and I read this post right after I listened to my friend rant about how awful dating is these days. Between unhinged people and all the texts, good morning, how was lunch, how was the shower, where my hug, I think I'm good on dating for another while. What's wrong with you guys? You don't want to casually date psychopaths that are going to break your car windows, dump trash out the front of your door, take your washing out while it's washing? What do you mean? That is my Roman Empire right there. How dare you insult the pillars of salt and pillars of sand that these foundations are made of? If it ain't unhinged and dangerous, I don't want it. But again, OP, do not stick your dick in the leasing lady. Please, God, do not do that. But thank you for sharing this story. That was wildly entertaining. I loved that. That's the kind of tea that I need in my life, OP. Thank you for sharing. Our next post is by user ArtEast1674, titled, Am I the asshole for not comforting my brother after his wife cheated on him again? So about 9 years ago, my brother's wife left him for another man. She was cheating on him all that time. My brother was devastated, as they had married very young. I was always against it, and I had my brother in my apartment for months. He had fallen into a severe depression, and I was the one who paid for his psychologist since he didn't have money and even lost his job because he didn't even want to move from the couch or bath. I even gave him a bath. I wasn't bothered by that. I did everything for my brother. She just left and blocked him from everywhere. She simply confessed to him that she had been cheating on him for a year and that she was in love with that man. 4 years after that, when my brother was finally starting to feel better, she reappeared in everyone's life. The typical thing happened. She and her lover were no longer together, she had begun to receive psychological help and had changed completely. She felt regretful, she was really sorry, etc. That's the kind of sorry BP gives for causing yet another environmental catastrophe in the Gulf. Oh, we're so sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I told my brother all the time to cut off contact with her for the sake of his mental health. He didn't. I always had a bad feeling and I could smell the shit from afar. He started to justify her past actions all the time by saying that she had changed, they were too young, she was having problems, etc. And he got angry when I told him that she is still a witch. Shortly after that, they got back together, and my brother cut off all contact with me because I didn't accept their relationship, and he didn't want anyone to come between them. Sorry to say someone already did come between you. I told him to piss off, and we didn't talk anymore. Now, my brother has reappeared at my house after years without him wanting to talk to me, only to tell him that his wife cheated on him again, but this time they have children. In the past, I would have let him in, hugged him and everything, but he has gone years without even inviting me to meet his children. He has not even spoken to me to congratulate me on my marriage or on my pregnancy. I even invited him to my wedding and he didn't come. I told him that at this moment, I can't let him be in my house, which is actually true because I can't have that kind of stress. He told me that we are siblings and he needs me. But I told him that I needed him too, but he was never there, and he cut me off for that woman. We had an argument, and my husband ended up kicking him out because I was already crying. He's staying with our parents now, and my mother just tells me that it's not the time to hold a grudge against him, and he needs me. But I can't forget how he didn't think twice before cutting off all contact with me for her. In the comments, not understanding why people go back to cheaters like that, OP says, I don't understand it either. But the truth is that he had never gotten over that relationship. My brother went back to her because she basically sweetened his ear with things like that she was getting psychological help, that she was sorry for everything. She even came to tell me that she was really sorry for everything. Oh, I'm so sorry. Sorry. You were way too involved in your brother's life. You bathed him because he was depressed? OP says, way too involved? No. I was giving him the support that he needed. Some people are so depressed that they even need help bathing. I'm a nurse, I've taken care of people in the same state, or even people who needed help eating and brushing their teeth. Not the asshole. Your brother is an idiot, and you know as soon as the ex wants back, he will dump you again. He's able to completely cut off his supportive sister for years without a problem, but is not able to do the same for his cheating wife. That's messed up. Are those kids even his? Not the asshole, OP. It's your turn to cut him off for your and your family's well-being. If he's been raising the kids as his for a couple of years, in many US states, he's considered their father and responsible for child support, no matter who the actual sperm belonged to. Dude is a Class A idiot. Not the asshole. It's funny how you can't hold a grudge, but he can be mad. Relationships are a two-way street. You were there for him at his lowest, and he threw you away for a woman that clearly doesn't care about him. What happens if the wife comes back and they get back together? Will he disappear again? You have enough self-respect to know that you deserve to be treated better, and if he had half the self-respect that you had, he wouldn't be in this position. Yeah, nah. He burned a bridge. This is called the consequences of your actions, and he can figure it out. If he wants to consider reparations at some point in the future, I would seriously consider if it's even worth it. He can stay with your parents if they want to enable him. Let the relatives whom he didn't ghost for years be the ones to look after him this time. The ones who've met his children, the ones whose weddings he actually attended, etc. Your brother is trying to do the same thing to you as his wife did to him, treat you like shit until he wants something from you. His wife never really became a better person or learned from what she did, and your brother hasn't learned a damn thing or changed either. The fact he only cares about himself and what he's going through and doesn't give a shit about your needs or well-being proves that he's nearly as big a piece of shit as his wife. Not the asshole. And tell your mum that she can deal with his stupid, pathetic ass this time, because he's not your problem. Yeah, you're just giving back the energy that you received, OP. You're more than welcome to cut him off, and I encourage you to do so. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Do not shame yourself by letting this happen again and letting the cycle repeat. It's just a waste of time and energy. There's so many more emotional resources you could be committing to your family. There's so much less stress that you could be putting yourself through. There are so many better choices to be made in this lifetime that could benefit you and your family than allowing this absolute donkey idiot sandwich back into your life and going through the motions once again. This is very much a his circus, his monkeys situation, and you should just go completely no contact with him and laugh in his face for this one. He's not just a clown, he's the whole circus. Update. So I've spoken to my mother because she kept trying to persuade me to talk to my brother. She came to see me since I cannot move too much. She basically told me that my brother is very sorry. Oh, he's so sorry. And I told her that then he should tell me that and not her. But my mother replied that my brother is too embarrassed about his actions, but I told her that I'm not going to let her be any kind of mediator, and my brother is old enough to speak for himself. I know he was sending her to insist that I talk back to him. My brother is an adult and he can speak for himself. That said, 2 days ago my brother came back to my house to talk about everything. He told me something that I always knew, which is that he never got over his ex-wife, and he was always totally blind for her. He believed that all of us who were against him coming back to her were toxic, and he should cut us out of his life because we were an obstacle that didn't believe that people can change, so that's what he did with me. Block me from his life. He says that he feels ashamed of himself for having been so blind since she cheated on him again. I never told him I told you so, nor am I going to, because he already knows that. There were many people worried about whether their children were his, but I can assure everyone that they are. They look identical to him, and luckily she was maybe faithful at that time. Anyway, after talking, he apologized to me and told me that he needs me, but I told him the same thing as that day. I needed him too, and he was never there. I forgive him for everything, but that doesn't mean that I want to go back to everything being like before, because I don't want to put myself in that situation again. He didn't even tell me what he's going to do with his wife, and I don't want the situation to repeat. I never did anything except something in return, but it did hurt me a lot that he turned his back on me without thinking twice, and only came back when things got bad for him. I had invited him to my wedding, maybe foolishly believing that he would come, but he didn't even do that. I even kept a seat for him, thinking he was maybe coming late, and I felt really dumb for doing that. I told him I'm sorry, but I want things to continue as before since I got used to not having him in my life, and I don't trust that he won't use me as a nurse and a therapist anymore. At first, he didn't understand it and said that we are siblings and we should be united, but when I told him that he forgot that for years, he shut up. So that's it. I simply told him that I prefer to continue without contact with him as before, and I've made it clear to my mother that I want to spend these months peacefully. Maybe some will call me cruel and say that I should think about my family, but I'm not going to let him treat me like she treated him. In the comments, Love Jane says, "You were absolutely not the asshole. Your brother made his choices and cut you out of his life when you tried to warn him. You don't owe him comfort now that his poor decisions have blown up in his face. You are prioritizing your own well-being, and that's perfectly okay." The fact that he's still going on about how siblings need to be united, even after OP explained how hurtful what he did was, shows that he hasn't learned shit, and still puts his own feelings over anything else. He expects OP to reconcile on his timeline because it's what he feels that he deserves. If I were OP, I'd tell him that he needs to work on empathy and not being so self-absorbed before I let him back into my life. You don't understand. Siblings need to be united when he is desperate and lonely and in crisis. That's what siblings are for, to support him in his time of need. God forbid the man has learned his lesson and is trying to change his attitude. Look, he may have learned his lesson, though I still wouldn't bet any money on him staying strong if she ever reels him back in. I think he'd come running like the pathetic lapdog that he is. But just because he says he regrets cutting off his sister doesn't mean that his sister has to forgive him. He hurt her deeply and abandoned her for all her major milestones. He doesn't just get to waltz back into her life now because he's sorry. Naturally not the asshole. Your well-being should never be sidelined for the sake of someone else's mistakes, especially when they've willingly distanced themselves in the past. Reconciliation isn't an obligation, it's a choice. One that requires mutual respect and understanding, which doesn't seem to have been reciprocated by your brother. It's commendable that, despite your pressure, you firmly held on to your principles and protected your space. Wishing you the best with your expecting bundle of joy, and remember, maintaining healthy boundaries is not only a right, but also a testament to your self-respect. Quotes, "I'm not gonna let him treat me like she treated him." Oof. Yeah, that line was a gut punch. Good on OP for sticking to her guns. Her reasoning is wonderfully refreshing. Honestly, this is so hard to do, putting yourself first and setting boundaries, especially with family and people whom you obviously love, but cannot have in your life. It's insane to me that he thought he could just show up at her house, unannounced, and be welcomed with open arms, after years of refusing to even so much as text her. Some people don't even realize that being Delulu is the Salulu. That's just how they exist in the real world. There is no perceiving reality for what it is and being a rational human. Self-awareness was not part of the update. Unfortunately, he is one of the victims of this, and he will be eternally stuck in a cycle of whipping himself on the back. Good on you, OP, for sticking to your boundaries and keeping him away. It is true, you and your family do deserve so much better than this. He hasn't learned anything from this situation. He doesn't empathize with your side. I don't think it's possible for him to walk a mile in your shoes, to see this from your eyes, to see his impacts that he has had on you and how that has made you feel. I don't think it's actually possible for him to think about that. The bit about the wedding is such a jumble of emotions for me. It's embarrassment, it's shame, it's sadness. It is so many different emotions coupled together that, you held out hope. You're like, no, he's my brother. It's my wedding. It's going to be different. He's going to be here. This is the exception. This is where family shows up for each other. It's going to be different this time. And it wasn't different that time. And he didn't care. And he doesn't care, and I don't think he ever will care. Thank you for sharing your story with us, OP. I'm sorry that it had to come to this. I'm sorry that this had to happen, but that's just life sometimes, and life is not fair. I'm getting married, and my mother-in-law is upset because we have to find a restaurant with gluten-free options for the rehearsal dinner. I'm literally the bride. I'm getting married, and I have an insane mother-in-law. Got kicked out of hospitals for abusing her cancer doctor crazy. And she always complains about having to go to a restaurant that has gluten-free options that aren't a salad. She's paying for the rehearsal dinner, and we gave her a long list of places where there's gluten-free options, all in a good price range. She doesn't even know any of these restaurants where I live. Not a single one except the list that we gave her. She complained to my fiancé about it so badly that he straight up said that he wouldn't invite her if she kept doing these kinds of things to me. So bravo to him. She always makes sure, literally tells it to my face, that I am a huge inconvenience. I am literally the bride. Added, my friends and family decided that if she makes us go somewhere that I can't eat, we're all going to get drinks somewhere and hang out. Everyone's on board and happy to make sure that she doesn't come near me during the wedding. I'm not going to let a narcissist ruin our wedding, and my friends are on board to keep her away. I will say hello and goodbye, but if she tries to say anything more, then I'm gonna walk away and talk to someone else. If she makes a scene at my wedding, well, I'll make her a fool of herself and embarrass herself in front of everyone and enjoy the show because no one is ever on her side because of the way that she acts. Thanks for the support, validation, and kindness. You guys are amazing. In the comments, Pluto Has Plans says, ew, that's gross behavior. Don't let her be involved in that part of the planning, or any if you feel that it's right, if she's going to act like that. It's literally your wedding. I hope you have an absolutely delicious gluten-free meal with your loved ones and a great wedding. And OP replies, I didn't even really want a rehearsal dinner because I feel guilty about someone else paying. I sort of don't want to have one again. She just sounds like an awful person. I don't think it has anything to do with your celiac. You're the bride. The number one priority is you and your partner. And OP says, thank you. I have been so low maintenance, frugal, and just focusing on people having fun, and my BFF keeps having to remind me that I am the bride. I think she thinks that it's her wedding. Honestly, I suggest you and your fiancé uninvite her. To the rehearsal, I mean, not necessarily the wedding. You need to send her a very clear message that this isn't about her. If you don't set clear boundaries now, you will be defending them forever. This isn't about flowers or bridesmaid dresses. This is about a health condition that you are going to have for life and that your future children may also inherit from you. She has to be put firmly in her place. Pick a fully gluten-free restaurant or a venue that you can have catered fully gluten-free. Nothing at all that is not gluten-free should be anywhere near your rehearsal or your wedding. This is your wedding, not hers. I was thinking of the future children too. If their child has celiac, I wouldn't trust this mother-in-law around the children. Sorry, weddings are stressful enough without the unnecessary BS. I'm guessing that not inviting her is not really a viable option. Can you or your future husband just book the restaurant and tell her that that's where it is? It seems unlikely that she would skip the meal because of how inconvenient your health is to her, but if she does, just one more wedding expense. OP replies, yeah, I think that's what my fiancé is going to do. Just tell her where to go, because the places we do aren't expensive. It's really good food, and she doesn't even know what else is out here anyway. At least your fiancé isn't a mama's boy in this situation. It's not like that story from the other day. Bravo to him for actually taking your side. I think you guys got this one sorted out pretty well, honestly. She's not the one getting married here. She can't be making demands like that. And I resonate hard with those people saying that your kids may also get celiac. She's putting your future kids in danger if you don't clamp down on her bullshit. Imagine her feeding a toddler something with gluten when they're celiac. I'm sure that's going to go down spectacularly. I'm sure she's going to be really sorry for doing that. Because people like her love to be sorry after the fact, but they're never sorry for their actions leading up to it, even though they're told a million times not to do it. So with that possible reality, you really have to clamp down on her shit, and if she doesn't comply, low contact, she's getting supervised visitation with the kids. Small update. Well, the situation has been fixed, but I think I almost gave my mother-in-law a stroke. She got a lot more controlling than just the restaurant, surprise, surprise. First, she called me and screamed that no one in her family can eat at a restaurant that we chose, that they all looked at the menu and said they all want pizza. Somewhere I've been glutened before. She said no one in my entire family can eat there. Everyone will be sick. They all hate it. By the way, not giving a shit about my family. So I decided to call each and every one of her family members that are coming to the rehearsal and asked if they were fine with eating what we picked. Turns out the mother-in-law called everyone trying to get them to agree with her about getting pizza. They all said they told her they wanted the place that we picked, and half of them couldn't even eat pizza, so she just flat out lied and just really wants pizza. She even started inviting and uninviting whoever she wanted. She was cutting people out of the dinner who were actually participating in the rehearsal and adding people in who aren't. Well, she called 2 weeks ago and snapped, "We're getting pizza and you have no choice." So I told her, I'm paying for the rehearsal now, not you. We're going to go where we want, you can go get pizza. This witch, this 76-year-old woman, responded by screaming. She didn't scream no or any actual words, she just screamed at the top of her lungs. I hung up and blocked her number. That's crazy! Can you imagine? My significant other is amazing, and that night sent her a text telling her that she is no longer any part of the rehearsal or wedding planning. He's been ignoring her texts since, obviously checking for emergencies, but it's just her saying mean shit to him. I'm so glad to live 350 miles away from this psycho. I just wanted to eat. What's in the truck? In the comments, Regner86 says, if she is as bad as you say she is, and you don't want her at the wedding anymore, hire security. I've seen too many posts in other subs about it. It's great when you're waffling on how to delicately approach the situation, and they go nuclear and solve it for you, isn't it? In some locales, you can call the local police non-emergency line or drop into the local police station and ask about hiring an off-duty cop, in uniform if you wish, to provide security presence at a wedding and reception. And be sure to say that they'll get free food too. They may refer you to their local FOP, but young officers are always looking to pick up the odd security job here and there and some extra pay. Their presence tends to have a calming effect on troublemakers. Good luck and best wishes. OP says, oh, this is so good to know, I truck you not. My entire family is ready to kick her out physically, but I don't want them to have to spoil their time. An officer would be better, and damn it'll be funny when she makes a scene. You are the bride with a serious food sensitivity, but everyone will be sick if they eat there, was all she had to say? I guess the everyone didn't include you, the bride. I hope you enjoy your reception and wedding day, and at this point, I would run off and get married on the sly and have a reception and wedding sometime in the future if and when your controlling mother-in-law comes to her senses. OP says, I've always wanted a traditional wedding since I was a little girl, but she even made me just want to elope. But I'm not going to let some old mad woman ruin that. I'll grab my popcorn and watch her make a fool of herself. No one's going to see her freak out and go, it's the bride's fault. The incoherent rage is kinda concerning. And at 76? No shame whatsoever. Some people don't grow up, just older. Thankfully, my 70-year-old mum listens to my Reddit reads and goes, why? And type in that I'm saying age is no excuse. Please be a marquee commenter, please be a marquee commenter. I hope the fiancé is 100% on board with you going no contact, otherwise, maybe rethink the wedding. I can't imagine signing up for the next 15 plus years like this. This woman sounds awful, and she'll only get worse. Oh god, and if grandchildren are in the mix, she'll be 100 times worse. If she is 76, maybe it'll only be a couple years. Maybe a few more rounds of telling mother-in-law no will have her at the pearly gates in no time. That's grim. That's so grim. Don't encourage that. It's funny, but don't encourage that. It's terrible, but funny. But don't encourage it. It's not funny. Don't laugh. It's not funny. Honestly, if she's 76 and screaming incoherently like that, she's gonna send herself up or down in no time, that's for sure. Which direction she goes is anyone's guess. You learn something every day though, hey? I didn't know that you could have a police officer come and do security at a wedding. That's pretty chill. It makes sense, but I never put two and two together. Maybe we should have one of those stripper police officers show up as well and play a game of which one's the real police officer. That'd be a fun wedding event, wouldn't it, guys? Anyway, thank you, OP, for this story. I very much appreciated it. That was a good one. Our next post is by user unhappyvoice3978, titled, "Am I the asshole here if I say no to allowing my husband's daughter to come live with us full time?" So I've been married to my husband for 6 years. We have 2 kids together, 8 male and 4 male. Our youngest is special needs. My husband also has a daughter, 12, from a previous relationship, quote unquote. My husband's ex has had primary custody. My husband gets stepdaughter on weekends and alternating holidays and birthdays. This past weekend, my stepdaughter asked my husband if she can come live with him full time. Her mum recently moved in with her fiancé and his kids, and there's been some friction with that from what I understand. Nothing nefarious, just new house, new rules, having to share a bedroom, etc. My husband didn't give her an answer either way. He said that he would look into it. When he and I were discussing it, I had the following objections. Stepdaughter and our kids do not get along. It's something that we've worked on for years, in and out of therapy, and it just ain't happening. Stepdaughter resents mine for existing and is cruel towards my youngest for their disabilities. There have been issues with her bullying. My oldest is very protective of his little brother and hates stepdaughter for being mean to his brother. He has started physical altercations with her over it. The truth is that most of the time that we have stepdaughter, I make arrangements to take the boys to visit their grandparents, or husband takes her out of the house for daddy-daughter time to avoid conflict. I cannot imagine how living together full-time would be for them. We really don't have room. We have a 4-bedroom home. Both my husband and I work from home so we can be a caretaker for my youngest. Due to the nature of his disabilities, it is really not feasible for him and my oldest to share a room. It wouldn't be safe or fair for my oldest. My stepdaughter's room is used as my work-from-home office space during the week. I arrange my vacation time and whatnot around her visitation so that I can stay out of her space while she is here. I have to take very sensitive phone calls, and I need a closed door when I work, so common areas are out, and my husband uses our bedroom as his home office, so that's out too. We don't currently have room in the budget to make an addition to the house or remodel non-livable spaces at the moment. My husband hears my objections and understands them, but he wants to go for it and figures that everything will eventually work out. He doesn't want his daughter to think that he is abandoning her. And I feel for the girl. It'd be awful for your dad to say no when you ask if you can live with him, but I have my own kids to think about too. And I just do not believe that her living here is in their best interest at all, considering their history and our current living arrangements. Does saying no to this put me in the evil stepmom territory? In the comments, honestly, I really don't know how to rule on this. Ultimately, I just feel bad for kids in her position. Obviously no excuse for bullying on her part. Kids whose parents get divorced and start new families, and suddenly they have no place and they are no one's priority. I have quite a few friends who were in that position. It just sucks. I was the stepdaughter in this position, and it's hard to not fit in anywhere, while everyone else has their place. Worst time of my life was spent doing my best to avoid my stepdad. He treated us like shit. I would go a middle route. Sit stepdaughter down and explain to her that the way that she treats your kids has been unacceptable for a long time, and you refuse to let her live there if she's going to keep bullying and hurting them. Tell her if she can change her behavior and treat her step-siblings with respect and kindness, you'll be willing to revisit the subject after she stays consistent for a year. I think that if you and your husband make it clear that her behavior towards the other kids is a problem, she won't feel abandoned. She also might just suck it up and deal at her mom's. But she needs to understand that her treatment of your kids is going to continue to be a problem if she doesn't choose to change. This is the humane and sane solution. Don't let dad walk away from stepdaughter, who should always have a place in his home, and ensure the other kids are emotionally and physically safe, which they have to be. Giving a 12-year-old that no one seems to want some efficacy and control over her living situation should help her either change her behavior or cope with her current situation. Is anyone asking this girl what's going on at her mum's that's so bad that she wants to move in with people that she apparently hates? How is that not raising red flags? OP is giving so much conflicting information. I really do not trust her read of the situation. My guess is neither family wants the stepdaughter now that they have new kids. Then stepdaughter is lashing out in both houses. I think this is one of those situations where you gotta tread extra carefully when giving an opinion on it. There's just so many potential landmines, and I don't want to say the wrong thing. I feel like I gotta know just how bad the bullying is of the disabled son, because that's someone you want to keep away from your disabled son for their well-being. But at the same time, is stepdaughter being bullied? Is stepdaughter being put in dangerous or violent or otherwise bad situations in this other house that now she wants to come back to you guys for safety? This really isn't an easy situation to deal with, but I don't think the answer here is stonewalling and saying, no, she can't come live here, keep the arrangement as it is. There has to be some middle ground where everyone wins somewhat. Back up to the post, there is an edit. For the people who want to make me into a horrible homewrecker to go along with being an evil stepmom, sorry to disappoint, but we did not have an affair. My husband and my stepdaughter's mum were never married. They never were in a relationship. They were friends with benefits. They bartended together, would shoot the bull, and would sometimes get drunk and bang. My husband claims that he needed beer goggles because she really isn't his type. Damn, that's crazy. It was so necessary for you to put that detail in there. When my stepdaughter's mum found out that she was pregnant, she told my husband that she was keeping it and asked if he wanted to be in the baby's life. They never lived together, except for a few weeks during the newborn stage to help out. Yes, I had my first before I married my husband. My husband and I were in a long-term relationship when I had a birth control malfunction. My husband and I discussed what we wanted to do, and we both decided that we wanted to raise the child. A few days later, my husband proposed. I wanted to take time to recover from the birth and wait until our kiddo was old enough to pawn him off on the grandparents for the week so that my husband and I could enjoy our wedding. We didn't get married until my oldest was 2. Edit 2, regarding my youngest son's disabilities, stepdaughter's bullying, and my oldest starting fights, since there's a lot of projection and speculation, my youngest son has both physical and mental disabilities. He uses multiple kinds of medical and therapy equipment. My stepdaughter has shoved him out of his wheelchair, she has pinched him hard enough to leave bruises, she has hit his face when he was having trouble verbalizing. I don't give an F if this is normal sibling behavior. It is alarming enough to me that I feel that it's best for my youngest to spend as little time as possible with her until this behavior completely stops, and I will say, it has lessened quite a bit. We went through a period of it happening quite frequently, and it has slowed. The last incident was 2 months ago when stepdaughter grabbed my son's wheelchair and aggressively pushed him out of her way because he was blocking the hallway. One of the times that my son had started an altercation with her was because she had told my son that his brother was not a real person and that he was going to call the hospital to have him taken away so that they could perform experiments to find out what it was. She went into detail about things that they would do to him, like ripping his fingernails out. And yes, my son did lose his temper and hit her. My son was immediately disciplined, loss of tablet time, and we had an age-appropriate discussion about how his heart is in the right place to want to protect his little brother, but he needs to find an adult when something like that happens. This was not made up. I'm starting to understand why she doesn't live with you guys more. Stepdaughter admitted that she said it to my husband when he was able to sit her down and talk with her later in the day. I am not allowed to discipline or have parenting talks with stepdaughter per bio mum's wishes. I am not welcomed to be a part of stepdaughter's therapy journey, mostly per bio mum's wishes too. She does not want me involved. My husband has always been worried about rocking the boat with bio mum on these things, so I do not know the extent of what therapeutic treatments that she has had. I do know that she does go to therapy during the week, and my husband has gone to sessions, but it isn't something that he's free to discuss with me, so I'm in the dark about that. And now, onto the update. So last week, my husband and I sat down together and talked about stepdaughter coming to live with us full-time and how that would work out. It was a difficult discussion because, as some Redditors had suggested, I really pushed hard for him to really think things through and figure out the obstacles. Where would he and I work? Common areas are out due to the nature of our jobs. I can't due to employer restrictions. He does some NSFW things in his that we don't want the kids to see. How are we going to handle the animosity and bullying between the kids? What consequences would be in place? We talked about what expectations would be for stepdaughter living here full-time versus just weekends. About how she probably has unrealistic expectations about what the nitty-gritty life here is like. We talked through every possibility that we could come up with, including out-there possibilities like selling our home or separating our household and living apart for a while. We ran the numbers to see how it may affect our finances. And ultimately, we agreed that the answer was not yet, with a goal for our family working towards it, and that the best course of action would be to slowly adjust the amount of time that she spends in our home versus a sudden custody switch. So Friday night, my husband took stepdaughter out to talk to her about everything. He explained to her that she wouldn't have her own room at our place for a couple of years, but that's something that's on the top of the list for home improvements once our youngest's handicap accessibility renovations are paid off. He talked to her about what expectations of living with us would be like, that she would have chores and responsibilities. And most importantly, they talked about the bullying and laid down the provision that we needed to see her relationship and attitude towards her brothers improve before she can live here full time. Stepdaughter obviously wasn't thrilled about any of this, but she said okay, and that she would do better with her brothers. So Saturday, I made arrangements for my parents to watch our sons, and we invited stepdaughter's mum over so that we could all sit down and figure out how stepdaughter can start to spend more time here. And that is when it fell apart. Mum is not okay with a change in custody at all. Absolutely not was her answer. She took stepdaughter home early Saturday. My husband tried to reach out to stepdaughter on Sunday to see how she was and ask if she wanted to do their guitar lesson over Skype or something since her mum took her home early, but she never responded. He called stepdaughter's mum and she informed him that stepdaughter had lost her phone privileges. So we don't really know what's going on with all that. In the comments, Fred Red Fooey says, "Your husband needs a formal custody agreement since just the idea of his daughter spending more time at your house has caused her mum to punish her and prevent her dad from speaking to her. That is unacceptable, and if they had a custody agreement, she could not do it. I'm dying to know what type of work your husband does." OP says, video editing. Nothing exciting. He has a few clients who do pornography. OnlyFans models, I think. They send him the raw footage that they film, and he does his video editing magic. Nothing super out there, just something that we have to be careful about with the kids running around. Better they think that he only does YouTube videos and commercials. Edit. For those concerned about stepdaughter's mum violating custody agreements, please note that my husband and stepdaughter's mum do not have a formal custody agreement. There is no court order in place. They have always just worked things out between themselves. Yes, this is a very stupid thing that they have done. Yes, asses are being bitten. My husband and I just won't go get her until we understand what we legally can and cannot do in our state, and until we have copies of all pertinent legal documents to cover our own asses. While we don't suspect abuse, please know that my husband is in contact with stepdaughter's mum and stepdaughter through her. He has not expressed concern for stepdaughter's safety, and if at any point we feel that has changed, we will make immediate moves. Edit. Turns out stepdaughter threw her phone at her mum's face, hitting her mum and cracking the screen. Mum isn't giving it back until stepdaughter has paid off the deductible. That is why she has lost phone privileges. We do have alternative forms of contact with stepdaughter at this time. I'm just going to need you guys to strap in for the rest of this story because it doesn't go the way that you'd expect it to. This is not a good plot twist. The next update is titled, "My husband and I recently found out that his daughter isn't biologically his, he is spiraling, and I don't know what to do." So my husband has a daughter that predates our relationship. We also have 2 children of our own, one of which is severely disabled. He and his daughter's bio mum never had a formal custody agreement, but due to some recent drama and changes, it became apparent that we need to get something formal and court-ordered in place. So we consulted an attorney. And while on that course, we discovered that my husband wasn't listed on the birth certificate. We had paternity testing done. My husband is not the biological father. He is absolutely devastated, he is spiraling, he is hurting so bad, and I can't do anything to take his pain away. We've hugged and cried together so many times this week. He is not okay. He's flip-flopping through despair and anger. The anger scares me. His knuckles are all messed up from punching something, and he wouldn't talk to me about what happened. Shit is falling apart at home. My husband is in no place to be a father and partner right now. I sent out our oldest to my sisters, but my youngest is having a really bad week with his medical issues. I think he picks up on the stress and mood of the house. We had to go to the ER last night due to the increased seizure activity. When I came home, my husband was effing drunk. He became belligerent and demanded that I have our sons tested too. He didn't even ask how our son was doing. I was so pissed off, but I held my tongue and walked out of the room. I left a few Gatorades and some aspirin next to him after he passed out. I'm trying to get him in to see a therapist, but no dice so far. We haven't told stepdaughter or biomom yet. We've already skipped one of our regularly scheduled visitations with stepdaughter, and another is coming up soon. So that's going to need to be dealt with ASAP. I just don't know what to do. I'm so frayed right now, and I don't know how much longer I can hold things together. I want off this ride. In the comments, HDMX539 says, OP, my heart goes out to you and your husband and your stepdaughter. It is all so awful. Is there any possible way that you can have scheduled family therapist meeting when it's your husband's time for custody? He may need to have a session or two prior to that particular session so that he can get a game plan on how to tell stepdaughter. Further, the meeting with the family therapist while it's his custody time is so that he can do it in session with the therapist there. Maybe just the two of them. Is that feasible? Mandatory paternity testing would have saved everyone years of heartache and despair. Who cares how an individual might feel? Every human being is capable of deceptive practices. So we should approach marriage and children with caution and the words of our loved ones with a modicum of skepticism. I would try your best to be there for him while also making sure that your children are not affected. This is not your fault or the kid's fault. And I would tell him that if he can't at least attempt to get a better control on things, then he needs to stay somewhere else because it is negatively impacting his son. And if he ain't gonna be there for them and take care of him, then you will. It can have lifelong effects on the kid, and it's not fair to him. Stand up for him, please. I agree. His anger is affecting all of his children. He is the adult and needs to pull it together. And now, onto the latest updates. So I had a couple of people asking if I would update and let you guys know how my husband is doing now that we're a couple of months out from our D-Day. Some things are better, and others are a hell of a lot worse. Not long after I posted, my husband and I had the biggest, full-blown, drawn-out fight of our entire relationship. I honestly can't even tell you how it started. It was one of those little things that just triggered, and all the stress, anger, and resentment and other negative emotions that we've been feeling were just completely taken out on one another. I took the kids and left afterwards. I refused to come home until my husband got his head out of his ass and talked to someone about all of this. The silver lining to the big blowout was it did spur my husband on to start dealing with everything. He has been to his doctor and has been prescribed with medication and has been looking for a therapist. He did a session with one, but didn't particularly click with them. He's going to pursue others as our finances allow. My husband and I discussed his drunken demand for paternity testing. I was able to express how hurtful that was to me. He apologized fully and has decided that he does not need to have our sons tested right now. We've discussed options for what we'll do if doubt continues to linger on my husband's part, but as of now, no testing is being done. My husband and I are both trying our best to show each other grace on this matter. The hell of a lot worse part is what is going on with stepdaughter. My husband had to take a few weeks without visitation to get his own emotions under control. Then we had our typical weekend visits. We did not tell stepdaughter or biomom about the test results yet, as we were still considering our options for the next move. My husband had ultimately decided that he still wanted a relationship with his daughter and still wanted to pursue legal custody. The attorney that we had consulted suggested that with our state's laws and the established parental relationship, we should have a claim and could likely get court-ordered partial custody, but it would be a more complicated legal case. So that's all fine and dandy, but my husband, in a very boneheaded move, did not play his cards close enough to his chest with biomom. Several weeks ago, they had a verbal altercation. We've not been able to get in contact with biomom, her fiancé, or stepdaughter since. We contacted the police who told us that this was a civil matter and that we needed to go through the courts, so no help there. I'm sorry, I wish I had a happier update, or more of an update in general. In the comments, Introverted Giraffe asks, I cannot imagine how hard this must be on all of you. Could you try reaching out to the county sheriff's office to ask for a wellness check on stepdaughter? And OP says, we have attempted that. We live in a rural township and our police is the county sheriffs. They wouldn't divulge any information, so no dice. They couldn't even tell you that they saw her and she's alive and well? Yeah, they'll normally do that much, especially for a parent and child. I'd call again. Be calm and just state that you need to make sure that your daughter is okay. That is it. That is all. That is the extent. I'm praying that it all works out well for you. What a hard situation. Oh, and I think your husband is what my dad would refer to as a real man. OP says, they wouldn't tell us anything. I don't know what the hell went down. The first person from the sheriff's office seemed like they were going to be helpful. They said that they would send someone. I don't know what Byramum said or did, but a second officer came to our house and asked for documentation and told us that we need to take this up with the court. OP gets a lot of comments to do the paternity test for her kids, and says, paternity testing is not happening unless we have a couples counselor. That's a hill that I'm willing to both die and kill my marriage on, if need be. You say that it will put him at ease and build his trust in you. Well, after the decade that we have been together, where we have had zero issues of infidelity or untrustworthy behaviors between us, he should not have to be building trust in me. At this point in our relationship, the trust should be there. For me, the level of trust that he has shown in accusing me of cheating, which is what a demand for paternity testing is, means that our marriage is in deep shit. There simply is no meaningful romantic relationship without trust for me. Giving him peace of mind with a paternity test does not address the underlying trust issues. So he may get peace of mind in that regards, but doing so will cause me to doubt the entire foundation of our marriage. To be put simply, a paternity test without couples counseling will lead to our divorce. He will get 3 envelopes, 2 with positive paternity results, and 1 with my petition for divorce. Yes, I feel that strongly about it. As it is, my husband says that he does not feel the need to test our kids, that it was a drunken outburst, and he says that he is in a better place now and hasn't brought it up again in discussion. And he does know my stance. If he still feels the need to have our kids tested, fine. We'll make it happen, but only if he agrees to couples counseling first. Am I the asshole here for getting hurt and upset over a harmless prank that my husband pulled? Just want to say before I read this, big trigger warning for abuse. Posted by Far Specific 3005. So me and my husband have been married for 5 years. We are currently female 24 and male 33. Curious. No red flags there, huh? Way before we met, when I was 16, my mum's house had a house fire that burnt literally everything down, and sadly my childhood cat was also killed in it. I remember my mum and brother waking me up screaming, "Fire! Fire! Get up! Get up!" We crawled out under the smoke, and luckily my neighbors had already called the fire department, and they pulled us out. We lost literally everything. We were devastated. So that was a while ago, but it still really scares me. And I check outlets and our stove and candles and everything all the time. My husband knows this about me. So 2 nights ago, I went to bed early because I'm currently 34 weeks pregnant, literally about to pop. I was sleeping for a while before for some reason. My husband decided to wake me up by yelling, "Baby, there's a fire! 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 Get up!" As quick as I could get up at 34 weeks, I did and grabbed my purse. I was just in automatic shock and just autopilot and knew what I needed to grab. I made it all the way down the stairs, yelling for my husband to follow me, before he started laughing and telling me that it was a joke. It took a minute for that to process. I stood there with an open mouth while he laughed and ushered me down the rest of the stairs. I sat down on the couch and just started sobbing. It was genuinely the hardest that I've ever sobbed. It's like I couldn't get myself to stop and my whole body was shaking. My heart was racing and I couldn't breathe. I have never had this experience before. I was genuinely so panicked. I was so effing upset. My husband apologized and was like, "Oh my god, I'm sorry, it was just a joke." I just cried until eventually he was like, "What the hell, it was just a prank. This is really dramatic." After a few hours, I had calmed myself down and went to apologize to him. He wouldn't take it. He said I was being overly dramatic and made him feel like shit for a harmless prank. So I guess, am I the asshole here? I've never been good at taking jokes. I've been trying to be less sensitive, but I don't know. Additional information from OP in the comments. On why she apologized, OP says, I apologized because he made a big deal about me making him feel horrible. On how often her husband plays pranks on her and makes jokes at her expense, she says, he doesn't, but he often argues that I am too sensitive. On comments that the fire happened when OP and her husband were already dating, her at 16 and husband at 24, she says, this is not true. We met when I was 18. When asked if the husband is happy about the baby, if he is a narcissist, and if there are other red flags in the relationship, she says, he's happy. He's the one who wanted a baby. I don't think he's a narcissist, though I'm not sure the definition of that. And no, I don't think that there are red flags, other than what is being pointed out in the comments that I'm reading. That is mostly that he is trying to make me feel sensitive, and our ages, but I always knew that, and I never cared. In the comments, BeTheRoo5 says, no, you're absolutely not the asshole here. That wasn't a harmless prank when he knows your past trauma. It also wouldn't have been a harmless prank even without that trauma because you were pregnant. The adrenaline spike from something like that could have easily sent you into preterm labor, and while I'm sure you feel ready to pop, you are not yet full term, and the baby's lungs are the last to develop. He is definitely the asshole, but more than that, that was psychological abuse. It was not a prank, it was not funny, and it very well could have done physical harm as well. And now he's trying to gaslight you into thinking that you're the problem? Please be very careful and keep yourself safe. When I read what he did, my first thought was, this is not a harmless prank. I know babies can survive out of the womb at 34 weeks, but the risk of complications is so high at this stage still. He literally put his wife and child's lives at risk for a joke that isn't even funny. It was never meant to be funny. It was intended to harm, with just enough plausible deniability to be able to convince her that he was just joking and that he deserves the apology rather than her. And maybe the most important part, what the hell is wrong with him for pulling a prank on you while you were pregnant, and not just pregnant, but literally about to pop pregnant? You're not supposed to go through like any stress right now, not even the stress from an actually harmless prank. He is effing lucky that his bullshit didn't cause harm to the baby or push you into an early labor or something. This was a super dangerous and mean thing to do. You don't need to apologize, he does. OP replies, I didn't even think about this. I'm 34 weeks, but I still need at least 2 more to make sure the baby is fully grown and healthy. That could have been horrible. Honey, in the nicest way possible, cop on. He's a grooming, abusive piece of shit. What he did? It was to terrify you, and now he's punishing you for it. He doesn't like, love, or respect you. He doesn't care about the baby either. It's an ego thing. If you can't leave for you, then leave for your baby. He's going to ruin their life and any self-esteem that they could have just for fun. You are things to him, not people. I've lost 2 children despite doing everything right. He's out here trying to kill your child on purpose. The stares/panic, all of that? Attempted manslaughter. And you're like, welp, I shouldn't have trauma, I guess. Better say sorry to him. That's infuriating. Put your child first and leave this piece of shit. I believe that he was trying to cause something bad to happen. This was not a joke. It was planned and executed, but thankfully she didn't have anything happen that we know of. What trauma the baby suffered is yet to be determined. Please don't leave him alone with this baby when it's born. Couldn't agree more. I don't like this guy's vibes at all. He has been grooming you. There is an unacceptable age gap between you guys that started when you're 18. It always starts when you're 18. We see this too often where people just groom people that are freshly 18 with a significant age gap between them, and this shit happens. It's a very much serious situation. He is going to escalate his behavior. He was trying to hurt you and the baby. Like, he laughed at you and then you apologized to him. You have been so conditioned that you have to forgive him for the damage he does to you. Please have that be a wake-up call to yourself to get out of there as safely as possible. You could never be the asshole here for what you've done. There is no reality in which that is a possibility. And now, onto the update. This is where the trigger warning comes in. A month ago, I posted my first post, which is still up on my account. I was terrified and hurt and confused, and the comments really helped me sort through everything going on. A week later, I went into preterm labor and gave birth to my baby at 35 weeks. A week after that, my husband beat me unconscious when he caught me Googling the signs of an abusive marriage after he coerced me into sex a week postpartum. Today, I filed for divorce and secured a restraining order on him. My husband will never lay a hand on me or my baby ever again. I cannot confidently say that I would have made the decision without the help of my original post, so thank you so very much. I think maybe people don't realize how much you can help a stranger on the internet, but you can, and all of you did. I will be the woman who leaves after the first time. I will be the best mother that I can be, and that starts with leaving him. Thank you. In the comments, character designer says, "He's such a piece of shit. I hope you had him charged with assault as well. To protect your future custody, please press charges. If you don't, he could easily get visitation and possibly 50-50 custody. You do not want to have to co-parent with this piece of shit. Having documents that show that you press charges, even if they don't stick, can go a long way. Pressing charges can also make it less likely that he can have a firearm. Yeah, a legal firearm. Please, please be careful. You are currently in the most dangerous part of an abusive relationship. I don't mean to scare you, but many women have died at this stage. If you still have your phone, wipe it or get an entirely new one. If you have a car, have mechanics go over it with a comb, searching for any tracking device. Have your new location completely locked down. Don't tell anyone where you are if there's even a slight chance that they'll tell him. If you're in an apartment complex, let front desk and management know your situation. Cameras. Press charges against him for assault and also for RAPE. Also, OP, please press charges and get a doctor's workup. You could get a deadly infection having sex that soon after giving birth, on top of re-injuring sensitive tissue. I'm so sorry. This is the reason why advice on Reddit is always break up. Because no one is worth it. If someone shows you who they really are or treats you like crap, just walk away and keep living your life. No one is worth losing yourself over. Yeah, I don't get why it's so hard for folks to understand that by the time someone's asking the internet about their relationship, it's not in a good place to begin with. People don't ask for advice when everything's good. Yup, people mock it, but 95% of the time if you're posting here for advice, it tends to be a pretty severe effing issue. Saw the age gap and just knew. Even if the initial issue seems small, which is not the case here, so often it turns out that there was a bunch of red flags the OP was missing and ignoring until Redditors started asking questions or jumping to conclusions. And that's why I will keep reading these stories, and that's why I will keep covering so many comments. Like, I've seen people complaining in my comments that, oh my god, you can't just tell them to leave all the time, that's not the right response. I hope that those comments open your eyes a bit as to why that advice is given. And I don't always agree to leave someone over something small and petty if that is what is going on in a situation. But not everybody has the ability to be a reliable narrator, especially when they're so emotionally invested in the situations. It's easy for their brain to come up with false memories of what happened in situations. Take It Ends With Us, for example, where all of the abuse at the hands of her partner was framed as mistakes. It was all very likely and very plausible that all the abuse that she suffered were mistakes. And that's when you need people outside of your brain to come in and be like, actually, no, that's not a mistake. Here's why it was not a mistake. This is targeted abuse. Your reality is different to the actual reality of the situation. Anyway, going back to this story, I really hope that OP is okay. I really hope that the resources provided to OP by the comments in the community helps them out and helps them get to safety and away from this abuser. I do hope that we get another update in the future telling us that everything's in the clear, assault charges have been filed, and he's not a problem anymore. Thank you for sharing the story with us, OP. Our next post is by user ThrowRAPrincess, titled, "Am I the asshole for calling my parents by their first names after they didn't punish my brother for a hurtful comment? I'm 17 male, and I was adopted by my parents, Peter and Jane, when I was 4 years old. They've always been open about my adoption, and I've never felt like they treated me any differently because of it. They have 2 other kids, my siblings, who are 12 male and 9 female. We've always been a close family, and I've always considered Peter and Jane to be my real parents. But last week, I had an argument with my 12-year-old brother. I can't even remember what started it, but in the middle of it, he suddenly said, 'Mum and Dad aren't even your real parents.' Hearing that from him hurt more than I can explain. I've always seen him as my little brother, and I never imagined that he would say something so cruel. Afterward, I went to Peter and Jane, expecting them to be as upset as I was, but instead of grounding him or making him apologize, they just said that he didn't mean it and probably didn't realize how hurtful it was. They pretty much brushed it off, and that made me feel like my feelings weren't important. And since then, I've been calling them by their first names instead of Mum and Dad. I know it's getting on their nerves because they've asked me to stop, but I've refused. I told them that I'll stop when they either punish my brother or at least make him apologize for what he said. If he's going to say that they aren't my real parents, then why should I call them Mum and Dad? Now they're upset with me, saying that I'm being petty and that I'm overreacting. My dad has even started calling me princess because he says that I'm acting like one. I know he's trying to make me feel bad or embarrassed, but honestly, it just makes me feel worse. From where I stand, it feels like they didn't take what my brother said seriously enough, and that is why I'm doing this. I don't want to feel like I'm making a big deal out of nothing, but at the same time, I can't just let this go without some sort of consequence. What my brother said really hurt me, and I need them to understand that. Am I the asshole? In the comments from OP says, he, Peter, used to call me stuff like that all the time, and he knows that it pisses me off, which is why he's doing it. He labeled me as gay for 3 years because I wanted to do ballet until I finally quit. Don't get me wrong, I love my dad, I don't think he's abusive or anything, but he gets like this when he's upset and just says nasty things to everyone. It doesn't happen that often though. I've explained why it's upset me so much, and when I did, I started crying, and that's when my dad started calling me princess. That's embarrassing, but this is the reason why I've used a throwaway account. Coratul says, "Not the asshole. It's not difficult for your parents to explain how hurtful that must have been and how bad you must have felt in that moment. It seems as though your dad is being a little petty and his actions were immature and unwarranted. As the adult, he's supposed to be the bigger person and man up. Eventually I think this will all die down, but if it doesn't, you might be able to talk to your mom about the whole situation, seeing as your dad's reaction indicates that a talk may not result in much progress. As for your brother, I'd have a talk with him one-on-one as well, just to see where his thoughts are about everything, and to just explain how that made you feel and get it off your chest. He's young, so although he understands what he said, he may not understand the full gravity of what that quick moment meant. Hopefully you can make up with him. Punishment isn't the only solution, even though it may seem satisfying in the moment. I wish you luck." I would take this a step further. Since father is using princess as an insult for a gender that it does not appear that the OP identifies with, this man is showing sexist traits. With bigoted behaviors like that, it brings into question what Peter is saying to the brother. Ratchet it further up. Stop calling them by their first names. Refer to them as Mr. Surname and Mrs. Surname. If they refuse to see why this is important to you, underline the separation. I worked with a guy whose mother-in-law insisted on him calling her Mrs. So-and-so. I can't remember what it was. I'll say that it was Smith. From the first time that they met, even though his then-girlfriend introduced her by their first names. Girlfriend's father was called by his first name, mother was Mrs. Smith. They got engaged, planned the wedding. The day of the wedding, mother-in-law says, "You can call me Mary now." And my colleague says, "But you'll always be Mrs. Smith to me." 35 years later, he still calls her that. And to her everlasting frustration, so do all his kids. Their grandparents are Granddad and Mrs. Smith. Your comment reminded me of that and I laughed again, so I felt that I should share. Standard response to the 12-year-old's comment is, "They chose me, but didn't you know? You were a mistake." Not the asshole for making your point. What OP probably doesn't know is that this is a common insult for siblings to make. Even when they are full bio siblings living with their bio parents, that doesn't make it any less hurtful. But it isn't an odd thing for a kid to say. Not the asshole for being upset and letting it be known. Yeah, I don't think that you're the asshole for your approach to this situation and wanting them to punish him. I know that punishment in this situation isn't the only solution, but the kid is 12 years old. 12 years old is the age where you punish them, and that gets the message across most effectively, I feel like. I'm biased in that regard, and I understand that it may not be the best way. It may also not be the recommended way. But I believe that if stupid actions like his don't have severe consequences, they don't make him feel bad, they don't make him feel how OP is feeling, he's not going to change. He has no incentive to. If he's always going to be protected by his parents when he hurts OP like this, that's just them giving him permission to do it and go harder until he pushes the boundaries enough that he knows where the boundaries are. Don't let 12-year-olds that don't have an understanding of the world, that don't have a fully formed frontal cortex, push boundaries until they become someone that destroys relationships with their siblings. I think that's a bad approach to parenting, and I think that they're teaching the wrong lessons to their child. They are doing both of these kids no good in their actions. Update. First off, thank you so much to everyone who commented on my last post. I didn't realize how much I needed to hear that my feelings are valid, so it means a lot. Since I last posted, things have taken a different turn. My little brother actually came to me and apologized on his own. He looked really sorry and said that he didn't mean what he said and that he didn't realize how much it would hurt me. We had a good talk, and I honestly believe that he meant it. I've forgiven him, and we're back to being okay with each other. So at least that's one thing sorted. But now, the real issue is with Peter. I don't know if it's because I've been standing my ground or what, but instead of things getting better, they've just gotten worse. He's still calling me princess every chance he gets, but it's gone beyond just teasing. Yesterday, he actually posted a picture of a bunch of dresses on his Facebook page and tagged me in it with the caption, "Bet you like these, princess." A few of his friends even commented on it, laughing and making jokes about me. I felt so humiliated, and when I tried to talk to him about how hurtful it was, he just brushed it off and said that I needed to learn to take a joke. Jane, as usual, is trying to play peacemaker, but she's really not doing much to stop Peter. She keeps saying things like, "Oh, you know how your dad is. He doesn't mean any harm." But that's not good enough for me. I'm still upset that neither of them took what my brother said seriously in the first place, and now it feels like Peter is making things even worse. It's gotten to the point where I'm seriously thinking about just keeping my distance from Peter. I've been avoiding him as much as possible, but it's hard when we live in the same house. It's like I'm being punished for standing up for myself, and I'm not sure what to do anymore. My friend said that I can come and stay with him, and I am genuinely considering it. Again, thank you to everyone who has been supportive. If anyone has any advice on how to deal with this situation, I'm all ears. I don't know how much longer I can keep putting up with this. In the comments, Quiet Dust says, "Peter is the reason that your brother insulted you in the first place. He was just following the example that was set for him by that bully. It is not okay for him to call you names and ridicule you. It's the last thing that a loving parent should do. It's completely reasonable to want to keep your distance and want to leave the house, temporarily in the short term, and perhaps permanently once you're 18. I have a son on the way, November due date, and if he likes ballet, I will fully support him. Peter is a bigot and a bully, and I hope you understand that his unkind words say everything about him and nothing about you. God, your parents sound awful. I would fight fire with fire. Tell him all his homophobic shit is just projecting because he secretly has a crush on one of his friends that found his Facebook jokes so hilarious. When he loses his shit, tell him that he needs to learn how to take a joke. By the way, this is not good advice and it won't fix things. I would sit them both down and have a serious conversation about why they adopted you and whether they're still committed to raising you. because your homophobic dad and spineless mum are doing a shitty job of it lately. It is great to hear about your brother. Good on him. We can mess up when we're young, but not everyone learns from it. Your father never learned his lessons, it would appear, nor anyone who thinks he's being amusing. Name-calling is for boys, not men. I can think of ways to go nuclear in response, but they're not appropriate. I'd withdraw as best I could, and simply give brief, polite responses I needed to communicate, and not give him the reaction that he seems to want. I wish I could tell you that he'd grow out of it, but it doesn't appear promising at this point. His loss and your misery. Final update. Hello people. It's been a while since I was on here, but I wanted to come back and make this post to clarify a few things. I've seen a lot of people call my dad abusive, and that is simply not the case. My dad is a very loving person who sometimes likes to joke around, but never intends harm with his jokes. He does sometimes take a joke too far, but again, he does not intend to hurt anyone's feelings, and is definitely not abusive with the way that he acts. I've come to the realization that I did overreact in the way that I behaved, and I shouldn't have even posted anything about my parents online. But I'm making this post just to set the record straight one last time. I apologize to my parents for being too sensitive, because again, they never intended to hurt my feelings, and are certainly not abusive. I know my parents love me more than anything, and do consider me family, so I shouldn't have suggested that they didn't. Even though I was overreacting with how I was behaving, my dad still took me to my favorite restaurant when I started talking with him again. Does that seem like an abusive person to you? Yes. I think everyone here is projecting their own issues onto me and my dad, because I can tell you he's not abusive at all. This is going to be my last post here, because I shouldn't have even posted any private information about my family, and shouldn't have spoken about a private family matter online like this, because if anyone found out who we were, I could put my parents' jobs in danger because of how you people were misunderstanding our relationship. In the comments, She's Alive Damn It says, quote, "Does that seem like an abusive person to you?" My mind immediately went to Ben Wyatt in Parks and Recs asking, would a depressed person make this? My immediate thought was, yeah, it does. It sounds like love bombing. Yup. See also, it's just a joke. And Darvo. My immediate thought was, oh shit, the parents found the post. Opie, if you're okay, just blink. Oh god, you guys, I can see him blinking. There is no war in Ba Sing Se, I guess. Check their bio. And their bio says, I just need to do as they say at the moment. Things will calm down soon. I'm sorry for everyone that I'm disappointing. It wasn't written by me. I might be able to update soon. We'll have to delete this. And that's all I really have for you guys on this one. It makes sense that the parents did find the post and force them to do this. It's unfortunate that things like this do happen. It's unfortunate that there are so many abusers out there, even to kids that they've adopted. I look forward to the update in the future, however that may pan out, OP. I'm sorry that you had to be put in this situation with someone that obviously does not give a shit about you. You deserve more than that, and I hope that when you're 18 you leave and forge your own destiny. One that's far less abusive, one that's less manipulative, one that is happier and freer from what you're dealing with now. Thank you for sharing the post, and I genuinely do hope that you're okay. I think I destroyed our relationship trying to compliment my boyfriend, posted by user ImpressiveTest1814. So my boyfriend and I are both 28 years old and have been together for 2.5 years. Yesterday night, we were drinking, and one thing led to another, and I tried to compliment him by saying that he's not someone who I would hook up with or be friends with benefits, but marry. I thought everything was fine, but he seemed extremely distraught after that. I realized how he understood it and tried to clarify it, but he is still the same this morning. He told me that he needs space to think for a while and left the house. All my friends tell me that I messed up, and guys tell me that it's not a compliment, and most men will understand it differently. I think I destroyed our relationship, and I am panicking right now. In the comments, Hipster Slime Mold says, why would you even say that? Rookie mistake. You were supposed to be saying dumb shit like this in high school so that you wouldn't mess up here. I completely understand what you were trying to say, but as all other commenters have pointed out, what you've actually said is something along the lines of, I've hooked up with better people who are more my type before. Exactly. The way OP said it will make her boyfriend believe that he was her safe beta male option after she got to discover herself with the 10 out of 10 guys that she knows won't commit to her. That's one of the worst things you can say to a guy. It's like saying, your dick is just perfect. The big ones hurt too much. A woman can see that as a good thing, but it would kill the ego of most men. OP really screwed up big time, and she even told what she'd said to her circle. If her boyfriend knows that, then it will be worse. I think you meant to say that he's too good, but it sounds like he is bad. Honey, I like it because you aren't hot enough to want on some animalistic level like my past hookups, but on paper, you make total sense. Lol, what guy wants to be told that? I'll be 100% honest, as I have with any guy friend I have. What you said and how you said it makes it look like you had your fun, got to screw the cool guys who just want you for sex, and then after that, you decided to go to him because he's the safe option. It's a great way to emasculate him and make him feel as nothing more than the safe choice. Yeah, pretty much. As much as some people will say that's not at all what she meant, it's stupid that he interpreted it that way. This is just another consequence of modern dating. We're gonna have completely split little groups that we all fall into. And a lot of these groups that a lot of people fall into will be saying, when she says that, it means she's had her fun, she's looking to settle down, and you were never her first choice. You were just one of the choices available, and she settled for you. She doesn't actually want to be with you, it's just that she has no choice now. I completely understand where she's coming from. Like, he's not someone you would hook up with or be friends with benefits with. He's not someone that you would only do something short term with because you don't see a future with them. Understandable in a vacuum. Unfortunately, the world is very much fractured these days. And that now is something that to a lot of people is really hurtful. It means they're not sexually desirable. And now, onto the update. There were too many comments and messages from my first post. I wanted to reply to them, but there was just too many. However, I made sure that I read a good amount of them. Firstly, I want to explain my point of view and what I meant by that compliment. I wanted to tell him that I wouldn't let him go with just a hookup or friends with benefits relationship. I wanted more with him, basically, but I understand my wording with that compliment was terrible. I find him so attractive. Back to the events. He didn't come home for 3 days straight, and after coming back, we had a discussion about what had happened. He told me he felt terrible after I said that to him. I explained my point and what I meant with that compliment. Also, I assured him that I love him and find him attractive. We both said sorry, and I thought things had calmed down. I made sure to show him that I love him and find him attractive with my actions. However, he seemed a bit weird, even during sex. It was like he was somewhere else. Last weekend, he came to me and told me that he doesn't see the relationship in the same way and how he tried to overcome how he felt, but he just cannot shake the feeling. He said how he didn't want to throw away a 2.5-year relationship and wants to try everything. So we're going to start couples counseling next week. My 2 close friends told me the relationship is probably over and he's just trying his best to deny it right now. That is it. I don't know what'll happen, but I don't want to lose him. In the comments, Sane Seating says, "It's great that you're both willing to try counseling and work through this. Communication and effort from both sides is crucial, and seeking professional help is a positive step. Hard to overcome this, but at this point they are doing their best to keep the relationship alive, and that is all that you can ask for." I think we've seen a few "my wife settled for me, am I overreacting" posts here, and they rarely end well. In those posts, it's actually true. Here, a misunderstanding. I assume that a relationship with strong foundations can get past a grave misunderstanding, at least if both have some trust and an open mind. Right? No margin for error around this guy. My wife is notorious for accidentally roasting me. My all-time favorite is, "There is no one that I'd rather be without." Wait, I mean, I'd rather be with no one. Wait. Don't attribute malice to things that can be explained by stupidity. Yeah, I get the initial hurt feelings, but disappearing for 3 days before talking about it is insane to me, and then coming back and having to do couples counseling, I guarantee the therapist will just teach them some variation of what you said there about malice and stupidity. Yeah, I kind of felt for the guy until she said that he didn't come back for 3 days. I'm like, damn, maybe you're the one who dodged the bullet. This sucks because even if she is genuinely trying to win back the affection, he may interpret it as her trying to hold on to the safe option. And any issues in the bedroom will be taken as OP doesn't enjoy sex with him, she's only getting it over with to not lose the safe option. It's a pretty tough pit to get out of, in my opinion. Yeah, my opinion is that the world is getting so incredibly fractured once again, and that it's kind of a toss-up as to who you talk to get advice for on these things. Because genuinely, if you talk to tater tots about this, they're going to be like, leave that woman, she's disrespecting you, you can't be doing all that. But if you talk to people like Go and All That Jay, with the wife who accidentally roasts him, then it's just an issue of, it was a stupid mistake, she didn't mean it, happens all the time with me. Let's forgive and forget, it's really not that deep. I'm personally on Jay's side if that's the kind of relationship that you have with your wife, and you know how she can be sometimes. You'll know that she'll talk before thinking. I do that all the time. I'm an idiot. I really do hope that they can work through this issue together in couples counseling. I think that's a good sign that he's willing to do that with her, but disappearing for 3 days is not going to help the situation. Doesn't make sense why he did that one. Some people take a bit more time to process this than others, but to me, that's not a good faith gesture that you're ready to work on the relationship. But again, I'm biased in that regard, and if that's the kind of relationship that they have with each other and they understand each other on that level, then that's completely fine, and maybe it will work between them. Thank you for sharing the story with us, OP. Our next post is by user A Swing, titled, "Am I wrong for being judgmental about our friend's swinger lifestyle? My husband thinks that I was rude to his friends over the weekend, but I just felt that I was being honest and that they were being inappropriate. My husband and I have been married for 13 years now. We are both in our early 40s and have 2 wonderful preteen kids. We were college sweethearts, and he's the only person that I've been with. We have a lovely life. Last week, one of my husband's childhood friends, John, and his wife, Leah, invited us along with their kids. I've known them for a long time, and they visit us every summer, and we take vacations together. Our kids are of the same age and get along very well. On Saturday night, after the kids went to bed, Leah and John suggested that we go to a hot tub and get drunk. I only drink socially, and I was just sipping on some wine, while others were seriously getting wasted. Leah brought up the issue of sex and how they had slowed down a lot when the kids were young, and now rediscovered again their spark as the kids were getting older. John told us that they'd also been experimenting with the swinger lifestyle and how amazing their experience has been. My husband was drunk and told them that we never lost that spark and things have been great, while I was just uncomfortably listening to them. Leah asked us if we've ever tried swinging or open relationship, since we both got into a relationship when we were young. My husband had girlfriends before we met, but I've never been with another man. Leah asked me if I'd ever wondered if I missed out on that phase, but I told her that I didn't, since it was like winning the lottery with my husband, and it would be foolish to regret not buying the wrong tickets. John asked my husband if he's ever thought about swinging or being with someone else, and John was telling him about how the experience is amazing and just adds spice to a marriage. Too many cooks could spoil the broth, though. My husband was being polite and listening to it intently, and asking him questions about how they got into it, how they meet other couples, jealousy issues, etc., and Leah finally asked if I would consider something like swinging, and it just made me very uncomfortable. I wanted to shut down the discussion and told her that I can never imagine another man touching me in that way, and probably would leave my husband if he ever thinks of doing the same. She asked why, and I told her that another man touching me would feel like cheating to me, even if my husband was okay with it, and his love is enough for me that I do not seek attention from other men. That shut Leah up, and John changed the subject quickly, and we carried on. We did not talk about this for the rest of the trip. After they left, my husband thought that I was being judgmental towards Leah and John about their lifestyle. He feels that I should have been nicer to them and not equated swinging to cheating or implied that Leah was seeking attention from other men. I stood my ground and told him that I felt uncomfortable with them pushing their lifestyle on us. Was I being rude to Leah regarding their swinger lifestyle? I feel like everyone should mind their own damn business, but I was triggered by John essentially telling my husband to think about sleeping with other women, and Leah implying that I should somehow be less satisfied because I did not sleep around with a lot of guys. Moreover, I also felt my husband should have shut off the subject immediately instead of asking for more information and stories from John. In the comments, Hannah Anaconda 420 says, implied that Leah was seeking attention from other men. That was wrong, but it just seemed like poor phrasing, and at least it finally shut the conversation down because they were trying to coerce you guys into trying their lifestyle. And that is a gross overstep of boundaries. Quote, moreover, I also felt that my husband should have shut off the subject immediately instead of asking for more information and stories from John. You need to get to the bottom of this because he sounded way too invested to me as well, but his questions did cover some of the general curiosities that I've seen, so try not to take it too deeply. OP replies, let me clarify about what my husband was asking about. He was asking about where they meet these couples, some apps they mentioned, and private parties they attend. It made me really uncomfortable how curious my husband was about the whole situation. Not the asshole. They were on a fishing expedition in your hot tub. I bet John and Leah had previously chatted about seducing you two, and this was phase 1. OP says, to be clear, they never asked us anything inappropriate. However, I felt that they were trying to convince us on how exciting their new life was. It rubbed me the wrong way that Leah made comments about my personal life and questioned if I was unhappy that I did not date anyone except my husband. Based on all the responses, I need to have a serious conversation with my husband about why he thought that I was rude in shutting them down bluntly. Rebexter says, look, I'll be open and state that I have been in an ethically non-monogamous relationship for 16 years. You weren't rude. They were pushy and gross. And as others have said, they wanted sexy times with you two. I'd tell your husband that shutting down people who were hitting on you is something that you've always done since being with him, and was he really keen on seeing John rail you? They broke a big lifestyle rule. Make friends with swingers, don't make swingers out of friends. Most people don't want anything to do with it, and that's fine. Go find the people that are interested. Don't worry guys, I'll be wearing pineapple shorts at the next hot tub function. But onto your question, OP, are you wrong for being judgmental about your friend's swinger lifestyle? I don't think so. I think your husband was being wildly inappropriate in the situation and not reading the room, probably because of the alcohol, but regardless, not an excuse, not okay by him. They should have read the room, but of course they were under the influence too and were probably picking up something that you were not putting down. I think anyone in your position, after so many attempts and pushes by people that will not understand that you're not picking up what they're putting down, would be pissed off. I'd be judgmental too. I'd be like, how many times do I have to say that I don't want to do that? I'm cool with how I am. Are you not going to listen to me? You're absolutely right to feel the way that you are, and I'd be having a serious chat with your husband after this. Update. Thank you for all the replies. They really helped me gain a lot of different perspectives. I talked to my husband last night, and I cannot believe how much worse things have gotten. I can't believe so many of you could see what I completely overlooked. After the kids went to sleep, I spoke with my husband, Mike. I told him that the situation from the weekend was still bothering me and that I wanted to discuss it. I asked him why he didn't feel angry at Leah for implying that I should feel bad for not sleeping with more men, and why that thought didn't repulse him. He responded that just because we don't agree with someone's lifestyle choices doesn't mean that we should look down on their actions. He said that while I was right to shut her down, equating it to cheating or attention-seeking just isn't fair to them. He added that I don't know the circumstances that led to them starting swinging in the first place, and we shouldn't judge them. I pushed further, and he told me that Leah and John weren't doing well last year, and that John felt that Leah was distancing herself. Leah brought up the idea of an open relationship with John, which he initially disagreed with. However, they decided that splitting up wouldn't be good for them financially and would be worse for the kids. John then proposed the idea of swinging so that they could go out together and avoid doing anything behind each other's backs. According to Mike, they both seem to have reconnected since then, and John said that Leah has been much happier and more present in their relationship. Mike also mentioned that Leah was just curious about me because I've never even kissed another man. He admitted that he was upset because I rudely shut them down, and he feels that John might be hurt because Mike believes that John was forced into this lifestyle and because I equated Leah's suggestion to cheating. This got me thinking, so I asked Mike how he knew all of this. He told me that John had been confiding in him about it since last year, but he never told me because it was John and Leah's secret to share, and he didn't know if they were comfortable telling me. I started replaying the events of that night in my head. After the kids went to bed, John, Leah, and Mike were drinking. Mike was trying to get me to try his vodka drink, but I'm a lightweight and I know my limits, so I stuck to sipping some wine. Leah decided that the weather was great, and we all stepped outside onto the patio. Mike started the hot tub, and Leah and John decided to get in, wearing only their underwear. Mike did the same. They were all asking me to do the same, but I kept my t-shirt on. I didn't think much of it since I've seen both of them in swimwear before. That's when they told me that they were into swinging. John and Mike were discussing the benefits of swinging, and John was telling Mike how amazing it's been. Meanwhile, Leah was trying to convince me that I should be more curious about sleeping with other men. I think a lot of you were right. They might have been trying to recruit us. What makes it worse is that my husband knew about them and still tried to get me drunk and asked me to undress before getting into the tub. I asked him if he thought that they were trying to get us to swing with them. He smiled and said no, but I can easily tell when my husband isn't being truthful, so I kept digging. He then admitted that Leah had asked him about it when they were planning the trip, and he laughed it off because he thought that it was a joke. At this point, I was beyond pissed. Leah openly asked my husband about sleeping with him, and he never told me about it. I was playing the perfect host all weekend to a woman who, I seriously doubt it was a joke, asked my husband if he wanted to sleep with her. I was so furious that I slept on the sofa. Mike kept apologizing, saying that he didn't want to out Leah and John to me because he thought that it was private. However, I genuinely feel like Mike's actions were also inappropriate. He tried to get me undressed and drunk in front of these people. I don't know what to do. I think it's safe to say that I'm never going to be around Leah and John again. However, I feel more hurt by Mike and his actions, and I'm unsure of what I'll do next. In the comments, Eat Like a Chipmunk says, "Your husband was trying to get you drunk so that he can sleep with Leah and possibly pimp you out without your consent. I wouldn't feel safe with him at all. The fact that he never told you beforehand while trying to get you to engage in their behavior is disturbing." OP replies, "That is exactly how I'm feeling. He keeps on telling me that he would never think of Leah and John in that way and that I'm overreacting. He also says that he's not interested in that lifestyle, and I'm assuming the worst case scenario, and he was just trying to protect his friend's privacy. He also told me that he did not think John and Leah would tell me about them being swingers in the hot tub, and they just got drunk and carried away. I don't believe your husband. Too many things line up with he was interested in seeing where this would go. The pressure to drink, the pressure to undress, encouraging his friend to keep talking, selling you on the idea. They absolutely brought this up to recruit you both. The wife asking your husband to sleep together before you all got together is the nail in the coffin. To tell you to apologize is crazy. He is interested, but they were asking you questions first to feel you out. I can guarantee that he told his friends that he was curious and encouraged them to tell you more to see your reaction in a safe way, because he knew that bringing it up would show that he wanted it. Honestly, I'd call the other husband and say, I would like the truth. My husband told me that you shared that you both are swinging, and then he told me that your wife called and asked about hooking up before your visit. To me, it feels like my husband was a part of the plan to get me to join in that evening. I would like you to be honest with me. If he is dying inside, he might actually tell you the truth." OP replies, "Thanks for the suggestion. I'm gonna call John tonight to get more info. I'm wondering if Leah told John what she told Mike, because Mike specifically told me Leah, not John, jokingly asked him about it." Update 2. Thank you for all the messages. I know many of you have been waiting for an update, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to post this. A lot has happened over the past few weeks, and I genuinely need advice on what to do next. After the last post, someone advised me to call John and ask him directly about what was going on. I decided to do that, as I was curious if he knew about Leah's joking suggestion to my husband while planning the trip. I called John in the evening when I knew that he'd be driving home. He was surprised to hear from me, but I asked him outright what happened that night. He told me that he considers me like a sister and would never even think of doing such a thing. He assured me that I was overreacting and that they were just having fun. He also emphasized that just because they're swingers doesn't mean they don't have boundaries. Friends and co-workers are off limits for them to avoid emotional entanglements. I asked if he knew that Leah had jokingly asked my husband if he wanted to swing while they were planning the trip. John was shocked and told me that he had no idea. He said that it was extremely inappropriate for her to do that and was also upset that Mike, my husband, didn't tell him about it. John said that he would talk to Leah about it that night. I didn't hear from John for a few days, but when I told my husband about the call, he was furious. He said it wasn't my place to tell John about Leah's joke, as it could cause misunderstandings. I apologized, explaining that I suspected John and Leah might be trying to get us to swing and felt the need to ask John directly. I also mentioned that I was relieved to hear John reassure me that he would never think of me this way. However, my husband seemed nervous over the next few days. Then one evening, John called me and said that he'd found a secret account of Leah's on an app called Telegram, which was installed on her laptop but not on her phone. He discovered that Leah had been messaging multiple men, including my husband, on that app. John said that he planned to confront Leah that night and wanted to give me a heads up. He also emailed me the chat logs between Leah and my husband, which spanned more than a year. I had no idea that Mike had been talking to her for so long. The messages began after a trip that we took last spring. Leah had been discussing her plans to open her marriage with Mike, asking for his opinion, and sharing how she felt when John finally agreed. Mike mostly just listened and didn't encourage her or offer advice. After they started swinging, Leah sent some selfies, which were deleted, and Mike asked her where they were going and what they were doing. She would share details about their encounters with other couples, and Mike would respond with a few words here and there. At one point, Leah sent Mike a deleted video, presumably of her and John with another couple, and Mike told her not to send pictures or videos anymore because it made him uncomfortable. However, Leah occasionally messaged him about their encounters, and Mike would respond briefly. When we were planning the trip, Leah asked Mike if we'd be interested in swinging in one of the conversations. Mike told her that I would never be interested and that he couldn't bear to see me with another man. Leah made fun of us, saying she bet that I fantasized about other men since I'd only been with him. The whole conversation was Leah trying to convince Mike that I would be open to swinging if given the chance. Although these messages were highly inappropriate, one silver lining was that Mike never said anything inappropriate in return. He never expressed interest in sleeping with other women. As I was reading the messages, Mike walked into the room and started apologizing. John had also called him, and they had a big argument, ending with John dropping the bombshell that he'd sent all the messages to me. Mike told me that he had no explanation for his actions, and that I had every right to be angry. I kept asking him why he would do this, and how I could ever trust him again. Mike explained that during our trip last spring, John, Leah, and Mike were drinking late one night while I went to bed early with the kids. After John went to bed, Leah and Mike were chatting. Leah confided that, although John was a perfect husband, she felt that something was missing in her life. They were both drunk and talked about what it would be like to open up their marriages. A few days later, Leah messaged Mike privately, asking him to join Telegram so they could talk more discreetly. She wanted his opinion on how to approach John about opening their marriage and asked for his help in case John overreacted. Mike assured me that he never intended to cheat on me, but was fascinated by Leah and John's new lifestyle and was curious. Leah would share details about their experiences, and Mike found it intriguing. He said that he never crossed the line, and when Leah tried to send videos, he shut it down. He also admitted that he knew that Leah was trying to test me in the bathtub and was curious about my reaction, as he suspected that I might feel the same as Leah, but was repressing it. He was relieved to find out that I wasn't like Leah. He apologized again and begged me not to think of him as a cheater. He knows that he crossed many boundaries that I would never agree to, but he insists that he never thought about cheating on me. He also pleaded with me to consider our kids. I've been struggling with this for the past week and could really use some advice. I think I might be able to forgive Mike for what he did, as he seems genuinely curious and did shut Leah down whenever she tried to cross the line. However, it still feels like a huge betrayal, and I'm not sure if I can ever trust him again. I want my kids to have a stable home, and I don't want to make any hasty decisions while I'm emotional. Has anyone been in a similar situation, and how did you recover from it? In the comments, Opie added additional information. I didn't want to post in the main post, but John and Mike had a big fight, and John is not taking any of his calls. We found out from common friends that Leah was cheating on John with other men, and he found all of her Telegram messages when he found the messages with Mike. I do not know if it was going on from before they decided to start swinging last year, but I wouldn't be surprised. I will never talk to Leah again. I really wish to reach out to John, as he's always been a good friend to me. However, I will wait for some time before I talk to him. I do feel bad for our kids who are all best friends and play video games together online, and will have to navigate through this tough situation. In the comments, Every Guard says, and normally for your husband, if she knew that she was cheating on John but didn't say anything, that's scummy. But also, because of the open relationship status, did he know that she was? Or did he think that the other men were just part of the open relationship? And OP says, Mike told me that he did not know about any other men that Leah was talking to. She only told him about the encounters that John and Leah had together with other couples. So Leah convinced her husband to open their marriage, but still went behind his back to open it even more? Yeah, that's why Reddit likes to suggest divorce at the very mention of opening the relationship. Quote, Leah asked for Mike's help in case John overreacted. That sentence says it all for me. I feel like there is no overreaction possible when one partner offers a thing like that. Even divorce. By the way, open relationships and being swingers are two completely different things. At best, Mike doesn't understand boundaries. At worst, he is complicit and entertained sleeping with Leah. Either way, they are headed to couples therapy that should solely be out of his paycheck. Honestly, I think Leah was trying to get Mike to cheat by convincing him that OP would leap at the chance to sleep with other people. I think OP getting pissed at Leah instead of being curious has actually saved the marriage, if his chatting with Leah doesn't break it, because Leah was starting to get massive doubts into Mike's head. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!